Welcome! Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick and the opening to the next Dragon Ball story, What If a Cell Jr. Survived? Before we get into it, be sure to check out the Omniverse's homepage where our channel mascot Omni will direct you to the Discord, both Google Docs, and everything else the Omniverse has to offer, along with smashing the like button, subscribing to the Omniverse of Nick, sharing the Omniverse around and turning on all Omniversal notifications, and commenting future requests and expectations in the comments. With all that said, let's begin. This is the next Dragon Ball story, and a very, very interesting one, just like the Zombie Goku story, past the 3-year mark of getting into new Dragon Ball territory and really showing what the world of Dragon Ball is all about, with the offspring of Cell, the Cell Jr., and what if one of them survived. Now, if you guys do not remember, the Cell Juniors were a batch of children from Cell, and they were made to almost be as strong as him. 7 of them were introduced to the Z Fighters to bring out Gohan's latent potential. Oh boy, and that it did. Because not only would Gohan attain Super Saiyan 2, but he would decimate the Cell Juniors without even breaking an inch of a sweat. And he would go on even after Goku sacrificed himself to kill their own father, Cell. But we did get to see the Cell Juniors return. But it was in the manga, and it was in the stupidest way possible. Just having them appear, just out of nowhere. And no explanation, nothing. Just absolutely no freaking idea or nothing. And the manga can be off-key at points anyway. So, we're not going to canonize that into the actual Dragon Ball story and make that an actual thing while the group's in the Tournament of Power. No, 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 no. We are going to be touching upon the OG 7 and one of them surviving in the timeline of which they actually were involved, which is the Cell games, to make the story for what it's worth and to show the Cell Juniors' true entrance and make their coming back logical and not just thrown into the atmosphere for nostalgia. That's not what a what if should be about. So, let's fix that with today's opener to What If a Cell Jr. Survived. We open up with Cell spawning the Cell Juniors and having them attack the Z Fighters to get Gohan's latent potential awakened. And it is awakened when Cell destroys the head of number 16 and Gohan Super Saiyan 2 awakens. After that, he easily decimates every single one of the Cell Juniors until he goes after the one that was trying to retreat, the very last one that was trying to retreat. He slaps it down to the ground and kicks it, but this is where the story takes the biggest turn. The hand that Gohan squished, this time, he doesn't see it. This time, it remains hidden amongst rocks, rubble, and debris. And Gohan is so clouded by the rage that's consumed him in Super Saiyan 2 that not only is his gaze fully focused on Cell and how he treated him and fought him in canon, but he doesn't even notice the hand this time. Whereas in canon, he squashed that thing in a second of looking at it, because it was right out in the open. This time's different, though. So Gohan goes on to face Cell, and utterly, completely dominate him, and reverts him back to second form Cell, spits out number 18, and goes to blow himself up with Goku sacrificing himself. Comes back as super perfect Cell, but ultimately, Goku's speech and Gohan's father-son Kamehameha and the aid of every single Z fighter along with Vegeta aids in the defeat of Cell. After that, all the Z warriors celebrate and they go up to Kami's lookout. But Vegeta says he will never fight again after Goku's sacrifice, and Shenron is summoned to get the bombs out of 17 and 18 and restore all the lives that were lost to the androids and to Cell. Meanwhile, in the debris of the Cell games, in all of the chaos and everything, Hercule and everybody else have left by this point after Hercule declaring he killed Cell, but there's still one being that remained. The arm sprouts and begins to wiggle around and move. And then, bang! He regenerates. The lone Cell Jr. He regenerates. Confused, scared, injured, and completely alone. And also, he's injured. Very injured. That regeneration not only took what was left of the life out of him, but that Gohan killed all of his brothers and his father. Cell Jr., he actually begins to speak. And he says, Gohan, one day you will die. And Cell will be avenged. Mark my words. This Cell Jr. will have your head. And so the Cell Jr. goes off all by himself. And 6 years go by. And in the blink of an eye, Cell Jr. adapts into a teen Cell Jr. and has trained relentlessly for the day he finally gets his vengeance on Gohan. And 6 years have gone by. And now, the Cell Jr. is convinced that this level of training, he is sure that not only has he surpassed his father, but that he has surpassed Gohan. He will have Gohan's head, and the lineage of his father and brothers will carry on through him. He will ensure Gohan's death. But then, two voices call from behind him. Don't you think you're going into this a little premature? A smaller, minuscule voice says, and then a darker one says, if you're really going to go about this whole revenge scheme of yours, the least you could do is have some insight and maybe a little help. The two voices are Babidi and Dabura. And the teen Cell Jr., having no idea who these creatures are, demands to know who they are and gets into a fighting stance ready to protect himself. Because not even he sensed their presences, and he has been in this lone spot of a desert wasteland training for 6 years, and not once did he pick up their signatures. Babidi introduces himself as the Great Wizard Babidi, and he has studied this Cell Jr. for quite some time. He is on a mission to revive his greatest asset, a legendary beast and destroyer called Majin Buu. And he sees that this Cell Jr. is quite capable. He's even read into his mind, forgive him, and seen his past is quite interesting. His father, he had a power that if he was still alive, he would have made a great subject. As for him, he's the last of his kind. Surely he doesn't want to go out guns blazing without a true plan, does he? If he goes alone, it might as well just end up the exact same way. But with him, well, just look at his right hand, the Demon King Dabura. He'll tell you all you need to know, that help is something you don't get more than once if you actually look at the right angle. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. If he goes alone, he'll be regretting this very decision right here whenever that Gohan decimates him like his father and his brothers before him. But the Cell Jr. says, what could you possibly offer me? You really think I'm just going to trust some little wizard and some big demon guy king person? How am I to know this isn't some kind of trap to lure me into, so you can use me to get what you want? Dabura says, please. If we wanted to kill you, we would have done that years ago. And he smiles and says, trust me, Master Bobity's help is more than just a show of dominance and magic and sorcery. It is a show of help, trust, and the fulfillment of the urge to get stronger. And it pays off. Bobbity says, yes. If you allow me, you may keep your free mind and spirit and get that vengeance. I will unlock everything for you. Power, mind, spirit, body, technique. All of it will become yours and more. You will never have to worry about being in Gohan's shadow anymore. And your father? Pah! The power I'd be using with him or his original will seem like nothing compared to what I can do for you, especially with your own potential having already surpassed him. All you have to do is permit me, and you can satiate that urge for hunger, power, and revenge, and quell it once and for all. Be a part of something greater. Help me awaken my Majin Buu, and you can get the boy all to yourself. The Cell Jr. thinks about this for a long second. Does he do it? Does he do what he thinks he should do? Or does he retaliate? If he retaliates, who's to say this wizard can't just come up with a spell to seal him or kill him? Or who's to say this demon king guy can't possibly beat him in a fight? He doesn't know. But he's sure he could take them both. But then again, the wizard does have a point. If he passes this up and Gohan has gotten stronger, who's to say that he doesn't end up like his brothers and his father? So after thinking for a very, very long moment, the Cell Jr. comes to a decision. Very well. I will agree to your proposal. But my mind is free from your satiated power and mind control. You will give me the power and technique that I deserve, and you may have some authority over me, but the majority of my free will and the boy's head are mine. I will not become a servant like this Demon King, but I will operate with you if it means Gohan will be my opponent and mine alone. And Bobbity is perfectly okay with that, because he sees this as to be a win for him as a whole. So, he uses his magic. And before long, we get Majin Cell Jr. But he also makes him an adult. So this isn't teen Cell Jr. He has made him into a full, perfect adult Cell Jr. under Majin control. But Bobbity says that's not all. Now it is time for him to awaken all of the latent perfection power of his design that was brought onto him from his father, and to release all of his dark nature and true latent potential. And he begins to do so, and by the end of it, Whatever past of Cell Jr. you thought you knew before is gone now. We now have before us a Cell Jr. who is adult, who is super perfect, and who's also under Majin control. Think about that for a second. And with this, the Cell Jr. is satisfied and says, I might not be a true servant under your control, Bobbity, but you are fitting of a great sorcerer, and for now, Master, I will at least consider calling you if it means Gohan will finally die by an android's hand. And with this, Bobbity says, oh, he will. But now we must wait. It is not yet time for us to resurrect my creation. But it will come time soon. So they wait for a year, and by this point, 7 years fully have passed for our main cast. And Bobbity is elated because now he knows that the time to resurrect Majin Buu has finally arrived. So he unleashes Pui Pui and Yakan. And Deborah says, you think it's finally time to release our latest candidates to ensure maximum efficiency for this plan, to at least ensure almost all, if not close to all, of the energy, if these humans truly are as easy pickings, or if we're going to have to deal with this boy Gohan and really get a challenge. At least these two will be worth a distraction to get us a good majority of the energy. Bobbity says, very well. At least they'll serve some purpose. And he unleashes Spopovich and Yamu, and he tells them, go to this tournament that these humans are holding. Get me energy. And if you fail to get a good majority, you can expect your heads to be like the people's here, which we know those to be the people that they killed, which Gohan saw. You will suffer if not energy is brought to me. You will get me energy that is deserving enough to call you worthy servants. Now be off. And so, Yamu and Spopovich go off to the tournament grounds to go and get their plan. The Cell Jr., though, says, if you'll pardon me, Bobbity, or should I say Master, I have a suggestion. My power is more than enough to kill not only the boy, but all of his measly little friends, easily, especially if what I'm seeing and hearing and what I seem to know about Goku passing on his father. I believe that to further quell this maybe problem of the boy getting stronger than his father and his previous 7-year outing, I have a plan that brew me into existence from my father that I believe could work into my own design thanks to you and my own training, and to show what this latent potential of my own design has truly brought on, if you'll permit me. And Bobby is intrigued by this, so he allows it. And the Cell Jr. begins to sprout his tail, and he spawns 7 Cell Juniors. So, before I show you the design, let's just think about this for a second. This is a Cell Junior spawning Cell Juniors. So you can consider these let's just say this. You can call this the second breed of Cell Juniors, or Cell Juniors the 2nd, or whatever you really want to call them. Here is what they look like. Since Cell is green and the Cell Juniors are blue, the second breed from a Cell Juniors Cell Junior, I would assume to have this color. So now we have the second breed, Cell Junior Juniors, if you really want to call them that, purple Cell Juniors. And Bobbity is amazed and astonished that this is a thing. This child of a being who could have very well been just as dangerous an adversary as Dabura or his Majin Buu just spawned more servants for him. And the Cell Junior says, "Well, what do you think, Master?" And all of them agree that if Gohan and the Z Fighters find themselves here, no one of them will be left alive. Will Gohan, Goku, and everybody else even get to see the Cell Juniors in action before they possibly are wiped out early in this timeline? Or by the time we even get to them and around Dabura and everybody else at the ship, will Majin Buu be awakened sooner and pose even bigger of an issue? And how will the match, which will come between Cell Jr. and Gohan, commence into the future of Cell Jr.'s survival?
Now get out!
What?
Get out! Everybody get out! Welcome!
Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick and part 2 to What If a Cell Jr. Survived. Before we get started, be sure to check out the Omniverse's homepage, where our channel mascot Omni will direct you to the Discord, both Google Docs, and everything else the Omniverse has to offer, along with smashing the like button, subscribing to the Omniverse of Nick, sharing the Omniverse around and turning on all Omniversal notifications, and commenting future requests and expectations in the comment section. With all that said, let's begin. We open up where we ended off last time, with the Cell Jr., a main lead in the story, spawning Cell Juniors. You can call them Cell Junior Juniors, Purple Cell Juniors, Cell Juniors the second breed, whatever the frick you want to call them, he has spawned them. And now, this is where our main cast of the Z Warriors comes into play. We get to the tournament, which plays out all the exact same way, leading to Videl fighting Spopovich and getting utterly massacred, Gohan wanting to get revenge, fighting Kibito, getting his energy stolen, and then Spopovich and Yamu going to the ship with all the Z Warriors behind them. Now, Spopovich and Yamu hand Bobbity the container with the energy, and Bobbity and Dabura are outside the ship, just like canon. And Krillin, Gohan, Goku, Shin, Kibito, Piccolo, and Vegeta are all there. Shin, Nahar, whatever the frick you want to call them. And see, as Spopovich and Yamu are giving Bobbity and Dabura the energy. But little do they know that the Cell Jr. and the next breed of Cell Juniors are in the ship. Spopovich gets killed, and then Yamu, because Bobbity, thinking that they really didn't give him any energy at all. And then Bobbity and Dabura get to talking because they know that Goku and everybody else is up there. And Bobbity says, "Interesting. This must be that boy Gohan. And his father is actually here. Curious. It must have been some way for him to return in some capacity." And he brought some of his little friends along with the Supreme Kai and his little helper. And Dabura says, "It would appear that boy Gohan, as well as his father, whichever way that he returned, along with this Vegeta character, those three possess the most energy out of all of the warriors, and they will come the greatest way to resurrect Majin Buu." And Bobbity says, I was going to ask you to take care of the job personally, because I definitely feel you could easily take care of the nuisances in our way, but I want to put our Cell Junior friends' trust in the right place. Let's tell him to send the breed after these fools. If I remember correctly, they didn't exactly do a good job against him and his brothers when they were the breed. Let's see if they've learned anything and send the breed after them. Surely, if they are truly stronger than 7 years ago, it will be those 3 alone who come into the ship. If not, we'll take care of the other nuisances when they arrive in here. Either way, we can still absorb their energy, and it will go a great way towards resurrecting Majin Buu. Either way, don't you think? So Babidi and Dabura go in the ship, and the ship closes, and Goku is confused because what, are they just going to sneak in the ship? What's going on? What were they talking about? And Shin says, wait, before they do anything, it looks like the ship's opening again. And the ship opens, and nothing happens. But then all of a sudden, 7 pairs of eyes open from the darkness of the ship's doorway, and then they fly and speed towards the Z fighters. The 7 purple Cell Juniors, the second breed, fly straight towards them. And Vegeta says, no, it's the Cell Juniors! They're alive and with Babidi! And Goku says, everyone power up now! We cannot lose to them again! Either Cell's alive, or those minions must have lived. Either way, we cannot risk the same thing happening before. We must kill them immediately! And Goku powers to Super Saiyan, along with Vegeta, and Gohan, he's feeling the most of this. No. If Cell was alive, they would have known that already. It must have been that one of the Cell Juniors must have survived. And he even tells them this, and just mainly to himself, he thinks, I failed. It must have been a part of their bodies I didn't destroy. I was clouded with rage. And this makes him even angrier. And he furiously ascends to Super Saiyan 2 instantly. He doesn't even go to 1. Piccolo throws off his cape, and Krillin gets into a fighting stance. Shin and Kibito are very scared and surprised by these purple beings of which they know nothing about. But Shin says clearly Goku and everybody else knows who these creatures are and where they originate from. And if they've teamed with Babidi, we must stop them. And Kibito says, yes, Master. Goku fights one of the Cell Juniors, and he notices right away this is not one of the same Cell Juniors that he fought before. Before, he was hurt. He wasn't at 100%, but he knows he could have taken it. But this one, oh no. This one's far different. And Vegeta is realizing the same thing. Because remember, Majin Super Perfect Adult Cell Jr. spawned this breed. Not normal Perfect Cell like in canon. So these Cell Juniors are even stronger than the canon ones in the original timeline. I mean, that should have been a dead giveaway, but still, Vegeta is realizing this too. Gohan, though, it would appear that the two are almost evenly matched. Gohan just roars and with anger, fury, hatred, and he just keeps on growing and growing and growing with power. And he continues to blast, punch, kick, teleport, and ascend. And he even tries to help out everybody else, but his main focus is the one Cell Junior in front of him, who is stopping him at every single turn from helping out the others. So the most he can do is evenly match himself with the Cell Junior in front of him. Piccolo, though, as lucky as he was in canon to be able to throw off several Cell Juniors, he can't even throw off one. It is just too much for him. And soon enough, it becomes dominant. He tries special beam cannons. He tries Hellzone grenades. He tries light grenades. He tries clones. Tries antenna beams. And nothing's working. The Cell Junior stops him at every turn. Krillin is having even worse luck. This is a Krillin who is far more scared and laid back than when he was at the Cell games. But it doesn't sway him from trying spread shot energy attacks, destructo discs, solar flares, kamehamehas, and he realizes that nothing is working and everybody else is having trouble. Kibito, he tries assessing and fighting the creature that he's fighting, but he quickly realizes that absolutely nothing he does whenever it comes to how far he teleports, no matter how he gauges his opponent, nothing is working. And Shin is trying to help Kibito with his telekinesis and his eye powers, and he tries every asset. His force gravity pushes, his eye beams, his special super blast beams attacks, every move that Shin has at his disposal, which we saw in the Buu Saga, Daima, you name it. Because this has forced Shin to use abilities that he's never even demonstrated in canon. But nothing is working. And Shin, like everybody else, mainly, besides Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan, ends up on the ground almost at the mercy of the Cell Juniors. Goku says to mainly Vegeta and Gohan, we have to break our limits. Everybody else is in trouble. They don't have long. Piccolo's the only one who could possibly help Shin to stand with us. But the three of us, we must stop them. Whether it's Cell or one of his offspring that spawned these creatures, we cannot let them win or get more energy for this creature Majin Buu. We have to ascend! And Goku quickly ascends to Super Saiyan 2. Vegeta powers up. And he powers up. But, remember, Vegeta only got Super Saiyan 2, from what we know, by getting the Majin power-up. So he's having to break his limits. So, he continues to roar with anger, and seeing Goku achieve this level of power, and knowing the threat he's up against, remembering Cell, remembering the Cell Juniors, remembering the androids, it all flares towards furious resolve and anger. And Vegeta attains Super Saiyan 2. But Gohan, he's already past Super Saiyan 2. But he's only even with the Cell Junior in front of him. But his mind flashes well beyond ascending in anger. And he knows, looking around, Piccolo's in trouble. Krillin's in trouble. Shin and Kibito are in trouble. And with Goku and Vegeta ascending to 2, there's only so much that they can do. He's already tried fighting past 2, and it's not doing anything. And he begins to feel that this is a very familiar situation he finds himself in. He remembers the original Cell Juniors, spawned to bring out his latent potential and possibly kill everyone he loves. He remembers Android 16's head, how it encouraged him to go beyond his resolve and throw away all that pacifist, lingering doubt in his mind, and how Cell mercilessly stomped and killed him. And how even when he attained that power, he missed the chance to kill Cell. He missed a Cell Junior, and how his father died for nothing. And with a flick of all of that rage, all of that doubt, all of that aggression, and all of that animosity in Gohan's being, a huge array of ki, lightning, and aura flares into the sky as Gohan roars with power. But he roars for a very long time. His eyebrows begin to disappear. His pupils go completely blank, and his hair begins to extend. And after a long minute, the roaring comes to halt in a glorious and magnifying transformation. And Goku, he knows what this is. But Gohan? How could he achieve it? It must have been this moment. It's like deja vu all over again. Gohan has achieved a level of power past everybody, well, except Goku. Super Saiyan 3. With this not being the first time Gohan's achieved it, but it being the first time a deja vu moment like this has ever happened this much in a story, does this new form of Gohan stand a chance, especially when Goku brings it out? Can they defeat these Cell Juniors once for all and get to Babidi, Dabura, and the real Cell Junior? Is Boo's resurrection nigh, or will it be soon because of what's happened? Or can they stop it before it's too late as we further defy Cell Junior's survival?
Now get out!
What?
Get out! Everybody get out! Welcome!
Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick and part 3 to What If a Cell Junior Survived. Before we get into it, be sure to go to the Omniverse's homepage where our channel mascot Omni will direct you to the Discord, both Google Docs, as well as everything the Omniverse has to offer, along with smashing the like button, subscribing to the Omniverse of Nick, sharing the Omniverse around and turning on all Omniversal notifications, and commenting future requests and expectations in the comment section. With all that said, let's begin. We open up where we ended off last time. Gohan unlocks Super Saiyan 3 with a deja vu moment with Cell Juniors, the second breed, not the first breed, spawned from the OG Cell Junior, who is under Majin Super Perfect adult control for Babidi. And once again, because of the situation, Gohan achieves a higher level of power, yet Goku knows exactly what this is. Gohan has achieved Super Saiyan 3. And within the flick of a single solitary second, Gohan uses a guiding ultimate Masenko and completely evaporates all the second breed of Cell Juniors. After that, he instantly reverts back to base, and all of them assess the situation, especially Vegeta in particular, and Goku, and just everyone in general, that Gohan, once again, because of an android, achieved a higher level of power to save them, and actually knew what to do this time, instead of letting it go to his head. Gohan says that the situation has grown too dire, and tells Kibito to take Piccolo and Krillin back, and tell everybody what's going on, and either send help or stay there for better safety. The former, he definitely recommends more. And Shin has to agree that Kibito, while it's true that he can heal, he is in danger here. And this is Shin's responsibility, not Kibito's. And he agrees with Gohan. So, Kibito takes Piccolo and Krillin, and they're going to go back to the tournament grounds. And whether it's to get help or stay behind, depending on the situation that arises from further from this situation, it's just better that they stay at the tournament grounds for now, at least. So they are off. And Goku says he's sure that they will be fine, and who knows, they might need their help, but Kibito, Piccolo, and Krillin, with him, especially with Gohan and Vegeta around, the four of them will figure out where this new breed of Cell Juniors came from, and they'll still stop Majin Buu before he gets resurrected. And Goku says, it's time for us to go in and face these guys and confront who really spawned these purple Cell Juniors. Whether it's Cell or one of his old Cell Juniors that survived, we will stop them. And they go inside the ship. Bobbity sees everything that's transpired, and the energy that has been collected from the purple Cell Juniors and the energy that Spopovich and Yamu got from Gohan. He looks, and it's 75%. Bobbity is completely blown aback that it's more than half the energy they need. And Cell Jr. just smiles and says, "You see, I told you that my breed would instantly get almost all the energy that you deserve." And Bobbity even smiles and says he is more than impressed, and Cell Jr. and all his minions haven't even stepped in yet. Spopovich and Yamu barely counted, but now he appreciates what the Cell Jr. has put in front of the table, and his turn will come soon enough to deal with the boy, even with this new power. But, and then he gets his crystal ball and his communicators for the other stages, and says, "I will personally let the other minions of mine take it from here. Stand by for now, Cell Jr., with Deborah." And so, Pui Pui is unleashed on stage 1, but Vegeta deals with him exactly the same way on Planet Dune and kills him. Then, Goku and Yakon fight, and Yakon tries to absorb Goku's energy when he unleashes it at the Planet of Darkness. But Goku powers up beyond 2, and Yakon blows up from the energy. Except this time, Vegeta already knows past Super Saiyan 3. So, yeah. And Bobbity is very surprised that Pui Pui and Yakon were dealt with. But Deborah says, "Don't worry, Master. Stage 3 will be the farthest they progress. I will personally show them the might of the Demon King." And remember, Deborah hasn't shown his powers yet, so this leaves more of an element of surprise. But the Cell Jr. says, "No, Deborah, that will not be necessary." And he says, "There is only one who will be next. If the boy hasn't fought since outside, he'll guaranteeingly want to fight you. And with his power, I'm the only one who knows that boy inside and out. You don't. And if your minions and my breed were dealt with that swiftly, I am the one who should fight him. Stay back with Master Bobbity. I will show everybody here, including the brat, his father and Vegeta, and that measly Supreme Kai, why they should have left me dead in that ruins of my father's games." But Deborah, he's not taking no for an answer. And he says, "You dare to get in the way of the Demon King Deborah and his battle? You clearly don't know who you're talking to. I said I'm going to fight, and that's fine," but he doesn't even get to finish his sentence before the Cell Jr. just unleashes a good little bit of a massive energy beam, extremely held back, but more than enough to wipe Deborah out. And seemingly, this not only throws Deborah halfway across the ship, but seemingly kills him when he doesn't come out. And Bobbity is completely thrown aback by this, and he demands to know, "Why would you do that? You killed my top minion." "Don't you understand, Master? Or Bobbity? I am the top one here. My breed should have shown you that much. If your Demon King Deborah was wiped out by a measly little attack like that, with me not even at 20% of my power, just imagine what I'll do to the boy, the Kai, and Goku and Vegeta. The rest of that energy is yours. But only if you permit me. Remember, you said that to me when you asked me and demanded that I help you on this little quest. So I would figure getting rid of a small asset like Deborah, you would have no problem with. Or did he really matter that much to you in terms for Majin Buu?" And Bobbity, he maniacally smiles at this and has to admit, Cell Jr.'s got a point. And so he forgives this and says, I will allow it, if only it means you will take out the boy as per the deal, and the rest, and get me the energy. But spare the Supreme Kai. He killed my father, and I will deal with his destruction. And the deal is set. Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan are ready for stage 3. But Vegeta is absolutely infuriated with Gohan, having not only seemingly to his level not trained, but hidden the fact he could achieve Super Saiyan 3. Gohan is utterly thrown aback by this and doesn't know what Vegeta's talking about. And he tells Vegeta that form was an accident, just like my Super Saiyan 2. You know that, Vegeta. It's not like I hid it from you during the 7 years. And Goku, he wants to say something, but he lets it go for now on the fact that he's just as strong as Gohan, if not around the same or like something like that. You know, he has Super Saiyan 3 too. I mean, hey, at least Vegeta unlocked 2 by himself. But he says, this is not the time to worry about that, Vegeta. Someone's about to enter. And stage 3's door opens. And out steps the adult, super perfect Cell Jr., ready for his revenge against Gohan and everybody else. Will he get it even with Gohan's Super Saiyan 3? Will Goku showcase 3 sooner? Maybe Vegeta unlocks it through pure rage? Or is Majin Buu's upbringing about to bring a whole new level of terror to what is just about to happen, furthering the Cell Jr.'s survival?
Now get out!
What?
Get out! Everybody get out! Welcome!
Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick, and part 4 to What If a Cell Jr. Survived. Before we get into it, be sure to check out the Omniverse's homepage, where our channel mascot Omni will direct you to the Discord, both Google Docs, and everything else the Omniverse has to offer, along with smashing the like button, subscribing to the Omniverse of Nick, sharing the Omniverse around and turning on all Omniversal notifications, and commenting future requests and expectations in the comments section. With all that said, let's begin. We open up where we ended off last time. The Cell Jr. has put himself in front of Dabura, seemingly killing him and advancing to stage 3, ready to give Babidi the last little bit of energy for Majin Buu and get his revenge on Gohan. Gohan should have expected this. If not Cell, one of his offspring definitely survived. Because Cell would not make purple Cell Juniors. That wouldn't be possible unless it was some kind of power-up of Cell. He should have known that this was a Cell Junior he neglected to completely destroy. Goku and Vegeta, though, are shocked by this, completely dumbfounded at the fact one Cell Junior would have survived. But the Cell Jr., who powers immediately, showing his super perfect adult body, says, this is the same power that you faced my father 7 years ago, boy. But you neglected to finish the job with a far weaker variant of any Cell Jr. that you have yet met. It seems that you were able to defeat my offspring with a higher power just as you killed my brothers and almost killed me. I'm quite surprised that you even made it this far. And he shoos a hand away, shooing the fact of all the Majins and Babidi and everything, and says that he only went along with everything with Babidi and everyone in this whole Majin Buu territory so he could get his hands on Gohan once and for all and get the revenge that his father and his brothers were not able to. And now Gohan will progress no further. And he says if he truly wants to finish this whole fight and end the legacy of Cell and the Cell Juniors, he will face him one-on-one alone. He expects his father, who is supposedly dead in here, which he cares not about, and Vegeta, and this Supreme Kai person. That's why he shooed the others away, right? If that's so, he will not let anyone interfere with the fight he should have finished 7 years ago. But Shin wants to know something. Where is Dabura? Because he knows that he's here. Where is he? Surely he would have gotten there first. Because apparently this Cell Jr. seems way stronger than Dabura. So surely Dabura should have come first. And the Cell Jr. says, that Demon King you are so afraid of and your little helper, he didn't even last a second before I blew him to Kingdom Come. And Shin is utterly dumbfounded at this, that anyone could kill Dabura. But Goku says he should have known. He should have known that if he was at full power, he could have taken down the Cell Juniors. And if Gohan had been a little bit more careful, none of them would be looking at them right now. But he tells Gohan he does not fault him for this, but he also knows this adult super perfect Cell Jr. makes Cell and every other Cell Jr. far outclassed 10 times combined. So he tells Gohan that Super Saiyan 3 power of his, he knows about it. He just flat out says it, but he doesn't say he's unlocked it. He knows the drawbacks of it though, and he knows Gohan can't achieve it right now because it is far too taxing on his body, and he knows that it was likely a one-time thing. He says to Gohan, even with all his Super Saiyan 2 power, this Cell Jr. is far stronger than that and could be holding back even more. He tells Gohan they have to fight him together. This is the first time he agrees with Shin that they all need to fight together. But Gohan says, no, father, this is my job. This is my problem, and this is my responsibility and work to take care of. And he gets into a fighting stance and says he is angry at himself. He was so taxed on that anger that not only did he sacrifice himself, Goku, but he let one part of a Cell Jr. live. And that's what's brought them to this point of almost all of them dying. And especially his dad dying twice. And in that case, he'd never be able to show up in spiritual or physical form again. He says he will never put that hold or responsibility or downfall of another person he loves in danger ever again. He will finish what he started 7 years ago, and he will do it the right way, and he will never allow anyone to get hurt on his pride, arrogance, or anger again. And he powers to Super Saiyan 2 and says, you're right, Cell Jr. I did neglect to finish you properly, but this time, you will not get away with even a fingertip left after I'm done with you. And you'll wish that I hadn't killed your father, because I'm going to make sure the pieces I left him with after I killed him, you won't even have a speck of your being left. And he tells his dad and Vegeta, do not get in my way. And this is a new side of Gohan. It's not a furious side, and it's not an overconfident side. It's a burned up, resolved side. And Cell Jr. says, confidence. But I've seen that before. I saw it in your eyes when you killed my brothers. I saw it in your eyes when I looked through Bobity's crystal ball, when you killed my father. And I saw it in your eyes when you achieved a higher power again and killed my children. Let's see if you can back up that talk. And the fight begins. Gohan rushes forward and prepares to attack. The Cell Jr. teleports. And Gohan senses the Cell Jr., and in a speck of a moment, he powers a punch. Right as the Cell Jr. teleports ready for a backslap like Cell did to Vegeta, but the Cell Jr. blocks the anticipated punch from him teleporting and going to attack Gohan. He blocks it and then shoots a mouth beam. And this instantly puts Gohan on the ground, in base form, injured. So already, he has dodged the first punch from Gohan, and already, just 20 seconds into the match, Gohan is on the ground. But he powers straight back up into 2, and then he roars with anger, aura, and power. And then he flares up his aura even more until that gigantic ray of aura and power shows up just like it did outside the ship. And he's trying to achieve Super Saiyan 3, but it's barely even false Super Saiyan 3. Like Goku said, Gohan's a novice at it, and unlike my other stories, he can't bear it at will because he's much stronger. It was out of luck in this story. So, all he can flare up is the max amount of Super Saiyan 2, breaking his limits until he's just about a little bit stronger than his canon self when he was shooting what is about to be now a Super Saiyan 2 Kamehameha. And the Cell Jr. just smiles. Says, really? You're going to try that trick again? Even if you have 2 arms, you clearly don't understand. As he stances for his own Majin Super Perfect Kamehameha. Solar Kamehameha, if I'm being more specific. He says, you should have known. If you barely hold a Kamehameha with 1 arm with the help of your father, what makes you think even with 2 arms you can even make your Kamehameha reach mine? And Gohan just doesn't even care. He goes and fires the beam as the Cell Jr. fires his. Babidi knows that if these 2 fire those attacks, the ship will be destroyed and Buu will be released prematurely. And he might die also. So he teleports them away. But where he teleports them is very interesting. He teleports them to a blue variant and a dimension of a blue Cell Games arena. So basically, think of this as a fan-made reality of if the Cell Jr. made the Cell Games. So, yeah. And they both fire the Kamehamehas. And right away, it's a huge beam and collision of Kamehameha, just like Gohan and Cell. And the beam just sits there. Neither side is over the others. But then the Cell Jr. just shows off a little bit more of his power, and Gohan realizes he can't hold this energy. It makes Cells look like a joke, and he's putting everything he has. And the Cell Jr. says, I told you, my father could never even touch me, even with all his power. Not even with all of my own brethren and his put together with him could he even touch what I am. And you'll see why you should have buried my specks of my body in the dirt with my father and my brothers when you had the chance, boy. But Gohan finds the rage, the urge, the power, and the resolve to flare up his aura and unlock Super Saiyan 3 once again. And with this gives him the edge he needs and flares his Kamehameha even higher. And it actually begins to reach the Cell Jr. But the Cell Jr. is amazed he could even attempt to power into this form once again, even in his shape. But didn't he tell Gohan? Gohan's using every little bit he has. The Cell Jr. hasn't even used 20%. If anything, he'll just excel to 50%. So he shows Gohan Why, he could never compare to what he is now. And he flares past 50%. And Goku yells, Gohan! As Gohan tries to flare up even more with Super Saiyan 3. But his whole body just engulfs in white energy, and he goes right back to base. And the Cell Jr. just laughs and says he doesn't even need 50%. But the boy, he's going to make sure what he did to his father is done to him, but worse. And he flares his Kamehameha, and it completely evaporates Gohan's. Goku shows off Super Saiyan 3 for the first time as Vegeta flares past Super Saiyan 2, and they both rush with Goku using instant transmission, and Supreme Kai just getting as far away from the collision as possible as the Kamehameha explodes and evaporates an entire engulfment of the area in which they're in. Gohan's in base now and completely out of energy, as Goku with Super Saiyan 3 and Vegeta and Super Saiyan 2 prepare to take Gohan's place. The Cell Jr. just laughs and says, if you couldn't beat my children or my father's children before, and you couldn't even get to my father's level, what makes you think you'll even come close to where your son couldn't, Goku? Vegeta doesn't even have Super Saiyan 3. All you're doing is delaying the inevitable. And meanwhile, Boo's ball begins to flare up with smoke, and Babidi sees Majin Buu is at full power. The ball opens, seemingly nothing yet, but then Majin Buu shows to have been awakened as Buu and Babidi make their way towards the area. And with this, does our group even stand a chance? Will the Cell Jr. put past his pride with Gohan to team up with the Z Fighters until Buu is defeated? If the Cell Jr. even stands a chance, since we don't know all of what he's capable of, could he possibly defeat Majin Buu? Or is Majin Buu just so powerful that it's put our group into almost the same canon situation, or just an even worse one compared to what happened in canon? And how will this furthify and cement what's about to be going down the line of the Cell Jr.'s survival?
Now get out!
What?
Get out! Everybody get out! Welcome!
Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick, and Part 5 to What If a Cell Jr. Survived. Before we get into it, be sure to check out the Omniverse's homepage, where our channel mascot Omni will direct you to the Discord, both Google Docs, and everything else the Omniverse has to offer, along with smashing the like button, subscribing to the Omniverse of Nick, sharing the Omniverse around and turning on all Omniversal notifications, and commenting future requests and expectations in the comments section. With all that said, let's begin. We open up where we ended off last time, with Majin Buu's awakening after Cell Jr.'s, Gohan's, and everyone else's massive battle, and him and Babidi making their way to the group. Goku, sensing this, instantly knows that the group needs to be on high alert and that this power is terrifying. Goku tells everybody that they need to stop fighting, even if the Cell Jr. is a huge threat. Gohan looks at the Cell Jr. and says, "We can handle our business later, just the two of us. But we need to work together for now." The Cell Jr. smiles and says while he could instantly squash Gohan, get his revenge, kill Goku and Vegeta, kill the Supreme Kai, and more or less stay teamed with Babidi, he has a feeling Babidi no longer has a use for him, and honestly, he was never a slave anyway. He was only in for it so he could fight Gohan and get his revenge. So for now, yes, he will team with Gohan, Goku, Vegeta, and everybody else. But once Majin Buu is taken care of, by his hand, if not theirs, Gohan will be his to deal with, and his alone. Babidi and Buu make their way to the battle. Goku, Gohan, Vegeta power up to 2, and Cell Jr. powers to his max super perfect adult form. Shin instantly knows that it will take all of them to deal with Buu and Babidi. and Bobbity especially because of sealing Boo away. And then he senses something, a bunch of powers coming towards them. Trunks, Goten, Yamcha, Krillin, Tien, number 17 and 18, Piccolo, and Kibito all arrive on the scene. Goku is very happy to see all of them, and with all of them working together, it's confirmed they are definitely going to be able to beat Boo and Bobbity. And then Goku tells them all about everything, and that if they're going to stay here and fight, they have to know what they're up against. So Goku and Piccolo get to talking. Goku sees and hears what happened at the tournament grounds, and he also lays on information about what happened here at the ship. And then Kibito, along with mainly everybody else, sees and hears about Dabura, Pui Pui, and Yakan, and the whole Purple Cell Juniors and everything else. But before they can get to the actual adult blue one, the main one of this story, 17 and 18, notice it first. And Piccolo, as well as everyone else, is especially surprised at this turn of events. That not only was it truly an offspring of cells and not like Cell or something that made those Purple Cell Juniors, but an offspring of cells actually did survive. And Gohan says, yes, it's true, the offspring of cells survived. He almost killed all of them and could very well have just been holding back loads and loads and loads of his power. They are in a truce for now, because the Cell Junior is no longer the enemy. Majin Buu and Bobbity are the enemy. And he knows that 17 and 18 have beef with Cell. They all have beef with Cell and the Cell Juniors. He, above all, should know that. He's the one who failed to kill the Cell Junior and make sure the job was done and everything else. But they need to work together to get out of this. And Vegeta tells the androids especially, he more than anyone hates this truce idea, but if it's worth getting rid of that wizard and this pink blob Majin Buu, deal with it for now, because he hasn't exactly forgot his beef ever with not only Kakarot, but the likes of the androids, including 17 and 18. So, teaming with one, whenever he already has beef with two that are around and active, he can deal with. But can 17 and 18 deal with teaming with an offspring of cells? And more importantly, can everybody else? 17 and 18 look over at the Cell Junior, and they just nod, look away, and more or less get ready to fight, as well as everybody who gears in for this temporary alliance, with everybody ready to work together. Bobbity just smiles and says, well, you've gotten a bunch of victims for my Majin Buu, and I see the Cell Junior was about to kill all of you before I arrived. But unfortunately, Cell Junior, your time in the contract of our deal has expired. But I do thank you, because without you, especially you were right. You really did do better than Dabura and all my minions, because if it were not for you, I guarantee Majin Buu would have never been brought back to life. But unfortunately, like all of these fools, including the boy you so badly want to get revenge on, you're all destined to die at the hands of my greatest creation. But the Cell Junior instantly powers and says, you all can have the last blow. I for sure will be getting the first, and powers instantly to his 100% super perfect power. Seemingly 100%, but it's more or less still holding back. He seemingly is going full power, according to Bobbity, and Majin Buu's just sitting there. Everyone else says, you seriously intend to do this alone? Cell Jr. doesn't even say a word. He just rushes in and instantly punches Buu straight across the face, sending him flying for miles. And Buu is actually angry by this, and the two actually begin to fight. With the battle seemingly even, the Cell Jr.'s not truly at 100% because he only used 50 to flex on Gohan, Goku, and Vegeta. Right now, he'd be right around that 50, and the battle seems to be even. And then the fight continues with the Cell Jr. using Tri-Beam, which goes straight through Buu, and then uses a special beam cannon and incinerates the entire top half of Buu. But then he regenerates, surprising Cell Jr. that he's basically like him. And then, to everyone's complete, total, and just utter shock, Majin Buu uses a special beam cannon. And he hasn't even absorbed Piccolo. It is instantly deflected, though, because everybody knows that move. And then the Cell Jr. uses a Destructo Disc, which Buu flings off a piece of himself, and basically it's just to not only shield himself, but throw something in the middle of the way, just to show how broken he is. And then flings off another piece of himself. Either that or he would combine the two pieces that were cut in half, form them together into another big piece, and then he throws that one. But then the Cell Jr. throws two Destructo Discs and then I-Beams, which incinerate all the pieces Buu just threw at him. But this was all a distraction. Buu extends his arm really far, straight towards the Cell Jr., and punches him straight in the stomach. The first actual blow dealt from Buu. But then the Cell Jr. says, "You shouldn't have done that," and uses a solar flare, blasts Buu several times in the face just to ensure that he's fully blind, and then uses a miniature spirit bomb. But it just doesn't pan to completely get Buu down, because Buu uses his blast, the vaporized one he used against Gohan and Kanon, and a huge blue explosion is cratered in the middle of where they're fighting. The Cell Jr. at this point realizes that, unlike Gohan, Goku, and Vegeta, he'll finally get a chance to show his 100% full power. So he powers to his 100% super perfect Majin adult form, and then he sprouts a third batch of Cell Juniors. We already know about the OGs. He's one of the OGs. Then we know about the second batch. Now, this is the third batch of Cell Juniors. So think about that for a second. They all lunge at Buu. And it's hard to say whether he would spawn 7 or so, but more or less, I think he would spawn 7 again, and Buu would be very intrigued by this. Like the Super Ghost Kamikaze attack, except it's way, 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 way different. So, with all of these Cell Juniors amplified way beyond what Goku and them were fighting outside Babidi's ship, and much stronger than the OGs, since this Majin Super Perfect Adult Cell Juniors at 100%, this means that these Cell Juniors are even stronger. And with 7 of them, Buu is instantly thrown aback. But then he starts to get more and more ahead of the game and starts toying, eating, and just showing that he is far from being able to get eliminated by these little android kids. Babidi, though, he is just utterly thrown aback at the fact that the Cell Jr. not only has literally done everything he said he would with being the greatest asset in his, repertoire, and actually be on par with Majin Buu to spawn even more of these little Cell Juniors, but it's actually throwing Buu back. Then Piccolo, Shin, and several others, seeing as the Cell Jr.'s the only one fighting Buu right now, corner Babidi, knowing that he's the root cause for Buu, being able to be sealed away or anything like that. Because you take out Babidi, who's Buu going to listen to? So, even if it might be a risk, according to Babidi and maybe a few of them, they have to take out Babidi right now, not knowing the after effects of what might happen. Just then, before they can do anything, a huge spear flies towards everybody, and it instantly pierces through Yamcha, killing him instantly. Krillin and Piccolo are both spat on and turned to stone, and it shows Deborah managed to survive, and he flames the entire area in which everybody else who's not fighting is, and it covers the entire area where everybody is, just circulates them around flames so they cannot move. And Deborah, very injured from the blast shown at Cell Jr., who, like I said, he was not even close to anywhere using even 20% of his power. So with that bared in mind, no matter how much stronger the Cell Jr. is just normally in his adult Majin state, super perfect, whatever the frick you want to call it, Deborah has shown, especially taking hits from Majin Buu and coming back, that no matter if it would be magic or just his durability, because he's the freaking Demon King, especially if you watch Daima, Deborah has managed to survive. And he says to Babidi, I told you that the Cell Jr. not only was a bad decision, but he's throwing your greatest creation, Majin Buu, back a loop. And he says to Babidi, I am the only minion that you can trust, Master Babidi. This Majin Buu is not only worth destroying you, you were almost about to die before I saved you. I am more than capable of being the ultimate servant for conquering the universe that you need. But your Majin Buu, it would only be a matter of time before these Earthlings that I just had to save you from would kill you, or Majin Buu would destroy you. And we all know that the Cell Jr., if he can take on your Majin Buu and be this strong, just imagine what he could do to you. And he kneels down to Babidi and says, I am the one servant that you can trust that is left. Please, Master Babidi, I know you have no more use for any servant because of Majin Buu's awakening. But if he cannot conquer the universe as you wish because of the Cell Jr., what hope do you have in conquering the universe without a tool, especially one you know has always obeyed you? Babidi just wants to tell... He tells Deborah to shut up at first, but then he's realizing Deborah's right. Majin Buu's getting thrown aback. The Cell Jr. seems to be the strongest one here. His life was about to be over, and Deborah saved him. So he says, fine. I will still allow you to be my servant, Deborah. You will be the tool that I want and need. But Majin Buu is my ultimate creation, my father's ultimate creation. So, I will give you the power necessary to be this tool that you so badly want to be, and this power beyond what you're already capable of. But you will do something for me. Team with Majin Buu. Get rid of everybody else who is not fighting. Make sure he's on the winning edge against that Cell Jr., but spare the Supreme Kai and throw his corpse to me for what he did to my father. If you can do that, and you pledge your undying loyalty to me more than you ever have in your almost near-death life, then, my friend, the Demon King Deborah, I will give you every single drop of evil, malicious, demonic energy that you need. Are we clear? Deborah says, Crystal, unlock the full power of the demon world and your magic to me, my master, and I will swear the deed done. So Babidi uses his powers, and a huge, malicious, dark red aura sweeps over Deborah. Basically, Babidi is known for whenever he puts people under the control, that he also unlocks their potential because that's what happened with Vegeta to give him Super Saiyan 2 in the Majin state. But this is beyond potential. This is Deborah's demonic potential. So, we get a look-alike to what Xeno Deborah looks like, except the M on his forehead turns to a malicious, dark red. Because this is Deborah, demonic Majin power-up from Babidi. So, its potential unlocked Deborah look-alike to Xeno from Heroes, except its demonic potential unleashed. With this power, do our heroes stand a chance against Deborah, who seemingly is going to be teaming with Majin Buu now against the fighters? If the Cell Jr. cannot beat them both together by himself, no matter if he's past 100% or not, can anyone else who teams with them, especially Gohan, Vegeta, and Goku, even pose the threat to this new alliance with Deborah, Buu, and Babidi? Can they kill Babidi and maybe release the Majin potential, possibly backfiring our Cell Jr.'s potential in the process? Or is it all over in the furtherfication of Cell Jr.'s survival?
Now get out!
What?
Get out! Everybody get out! Welcome!
Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick and Part 6 to What If a Cell Jr. Survived. Before we get into it, be sure to check out the Omniverse's homepage, where our channel mascot Omni will direct you to the Discord, both Google Docs, and everything else the Omniverse has to offer, along with smashing the like button, subscribing to the Omniverse of Nick, sharing the Omniverse around and turning on all Omniversal notifications, and commenting future requests and expectations in the comments section. With all that said, let's begin. We open up where we ended off last time, with Deborah getting his demonic Demon King potential unlocked by Babidi in exchange for bringing him the Supreme Kai and helping Majin Buu to kill all the others. And seemingly, Deborah is going along with it. So, the fight resumes and basically starts, if you get my meaning. Deborah rushes at everybody, and he not only uses his sword and unleashes more demonic energy and powers than ever before, but he just starts utterly dominating the Z Fighters, who didn't expect Deborah to be alive and be helping Babidi and Majin Buu. He kills Kibito and starts overwhelming the Z Fighters. Tien, he tries a maximum tri-beam, but Deborah shields himself with his blade. Buu is just sitting there clapping, enjoying this, not understanding Deborah's helping him or really half of what's going on. He's just liking all of this stuff that's going on. And Babidi is very ecstatic at this. Not only has Deborah seemingly pledged his undying loyalty beyond what he already has, but he's helping Majin Buu to get rid of the pests. And soon, he won't need Deborah, and this time, it'll be for real. But 18 interjects and blasts at Babidi, who uses a shield to make sure he doesn't get killed by this android. He already has one android problem to deal with at the field of his greatest minion besides Buu. He doesn't need another, but it's not going to help him. 17 finds the perfect opportunity and barriers himself around Babidi's barrier and basically outshines it, extends the barrier, and does exactly what he did to Jiren at the end of the Tournament of Power. He blows himself up, which obviously we know he takes the frickin' attack. Even if this is Buu Saga 17, 17's frickin' broken, so he would still survive this. But Babidi, though, this kills him. But this was a great mistake. Cell Jr. utterly groans in pain and agony. He clutches his head, and he feels his power and his body shrinking down. And he turns back into teen Cell Jr. Because without Babidi, not only is the Majin power gone, but his adult form and ultimately, like, half the freaking power that he had. And then Dabura just utterly groans back in pain, and he reverts back to the Dabura which first met Babidi. So then Gohan yells, "Why would you two do that?" And realizes that not only does this mean that Babidi's out of the way and Piccolo and Krillin can be turned back, but this just gave them a massive disadvantage. And Dabura is feeling this too. 17 and 18 are just standing there, seemingly not looking like they're guilty of anything. And Goku says, "Why would you two do that? The Cell Jr. was our best chance at defeating Majin Buu. Sure, Dabura was a problem, but you didn't have to go ahead and kill Babidi. Not yet." And 17 and 18 is like, "What other plan did you have, Goku? Let the evil wizard just command these two and kill us all? Plus, we're not exactly friends with any version, offspring, or any version of Cell in its entirety. What makes you think we would go along with helping a version of him for long, let alone be trying to coordinate a peaceful team up with any version of a Cell Jr. or Cell? You know what he did to us. You know what happened. He killed you." And while they're arguing about this and this whole problem, Majin Buu takes the perfect opportunity and shoots a candy beam. And he turns 17 and 18 into candy and eats them. Goku at this point says, "Okay, this is serious now. They thought that they could take Majin Buu before, but clearly they can't. They must use all of their full power now. It's now or never. They can't just run. They have to exhaust everything they can. They haven't done that yet as a full group, but now they can't mess around anymore. This is serious." And Gohan looks over at the Cell Jr. and says, "Can you still fight?" And Cell Jr.'s like, "Just because I'm a teen again doesn't mean that I still didn't train beyond my limits, especially my father's, to try and beat you. Of course I can still fight." Goku powers to Super Saiyan 3. Vegeta powers past 2 and says, "Let's crush this fat pink oaf once and for all. Now that the wizard's out of the way and the Demon King's crushed, now we have 2 less problems to deal with." And Gohan powers to 3. Cell Jr. powers to Super Perfect. Dabura gets back up and realizes he's got to fight alongside them. And especially since his master is dead and he's got nothing else, no power left or anything, and this Majin is the main threat, Dabura offers to side with them. Just this once. He is the Demon King, so this will not last long. Piccolo and Krillin are turned back from stone. Tien is just more or less there, and Goten and Trunks power to Super Saiyan. But Goku says, just because we all need to attack as a group doesn't mean the situation isn't too dangerous for you guys anymore. Piccolo, Krillin, Tien, take the boys and get out of here. Or at least tell them to stand down. You guys cannot fight in this battle anymore. Stand down and let us take care of it. Doesn't matter if you run or stay here, do not get involved. You saw what happened to the androids. And Goten and Trunks unfortunately have to stand down with everybody else. But they're not leaving. None of them are. Goku instantly goes in for a swarm of attacks against Buu. And then Vegeta gets a few good hits in. Gohan powers a ultimate Kamehameha along with the Cell Jr. and they both connect. And then Dabura just mercilessly attacks Buu, flings him up into the air, delivers a massive kick to his side, but then Boo just punctures Dabura straight in the eyes, and then it shows this onslaught of attacks actually made Boo angry. Like, really angry. So much so, steam begins to flare and bubble and explode up from him, creating a huge cloud of smoke. And Evil Boo is born. And Dabura says he should have known that Majin Buu was a threat. And it's good that he chose to side with the Z Fighters. He was never planning on siding with Buu for long. But now, this just confirms it. And he gets his sword ready and goes in to attack Evil Boo. But Evil Boo just grins and laughs maniacally, teleports straight in front of Dabura, and unleashes the same blast that killed the hunter in canon, seemingly killing Dabura, but we don't know that because he was seemingly killed by the Cell Jr. So for now, it seems like Dabura's actually dead this time. Then the fat one, the good Boo, fights against Evil Boo, and we know Evil Boo just pretty much dominates him, and Boo tries to turn the Evil Boo into chocolate, gets it reversed, and Evil Boo eats him. And then he begins the transformation, which then extends to Super Boo. But then it's revealed Dabura used the Evil Blast after image to not get killed by Evil Boo, because he hasn't used that yet. So this would be the perfect opportunity. And then he sees a new Boo staring at all of them. Super Boo, who absorbed the good one. There's two of them that just became one again, and he's even stronger? Goku tries his first hand at Super Saiyan 3 against Super Boo, but then is literally pulled back by Baba because Goku used all his time and has to go back to Otherworld. Shen knows at this point they're looking pretty freaking screwed, but he does have a plan. And he tells Vegeta, the Cell Jr., and very reluctantly Dabura and whoever else, Tien, all of them, he has a plan. And it involves Gohan, who he takes to the world of the Kais. And since Goku can go there, he knows that all three of them can go and fully initiate his plan. Which Gohan gets the Kai clothes and pulls out the Z sword for that plan. And since Goku's there, he is there for the whole thing just like canon, except the only thing is Kibito is dead still and has not been resurrected. So it's just the three of them, more or less. Not too big a change, and that all begins to go exactly like it did in canon, except with less animosity because of Kibito. Vegeta yells out that him, Dabura, and the Cell Jr. are the only ones left who can stop Boo. Everybody else, they can't. How could they? Especially if they did leave, or whatever. He doesn't know that, and he doesn't care. With Kakarot back in Otherworld, Gohan doing whatever with Shin, they're the last three left. And he doesn't care if they're enemies or not. All he cares about is that Majin Buu dies, and he dies right now. They can either work with him, or they can die alongside Majin Buu. He will not die today. Never. The Prince of Saiyans will show why he is on top. And if the Cell Jr. and Dabura value their lives, especially from him, they'll team with him, or they'll die to either his hands or Majin Buu's. And he begins to power up. But this is no ordinary power up. This is all of Vegeta's animosity, pride, and feelings. What we would have expected a Majin Vegeta in this story. But this is much beyond that. And this is no ordinary power-up. This is pride, animosity, and fueled up anger fueling through Vegeta. So much so, his hair begins to extend. His pupils blank out, and his aura flares to the high heavens. And before long, Vegeta transforms into Super Saiyan 3. And with this, Vegeta as a Super Saiyan 3, Deborah, and Cell Jr. prepare to launch an attack against Super Buu. Do they stand a chance with Vegeta at a very much more inexperienced Super Saiyan 3 than Daima? And with Deborah and Cell Jr. only offering as much as their techniques and not their raw power? Or is this just delaying the inevitable fact that Ultimate Gohan and possibly a Potara fusion might be the only thing that either saves Earth or saves the universe if Earth is doomed? And if the Cell Jr. and Deborah offer more along with Vegeta, how will this go into what is soon to be the climax for the Buu saga and the Cell Jr.'s survival?
Now get out!
What?
Get out! Everybody get out! Welcome!
Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick and Part 7 to What If a Cell Jr. Survived. Before we get into it, be sure to check out the Omniverse's homepage where our channel mascot Omni will direct you to the Discord, both Google Docs, and everything else the Omniverse has to offer, along with smashing the like button, subscribing to the Omniverse of Nick, sharing the Omniverse around and turning on all Omniversal notifications, and commenting future requests and expectations in the comments section. With all that said, let's begin. We open up where we ended off last time, with Vegeta attaining Super Saiyan 3, although a much more inexperienced version than Daima's outing. And Deborah and Cell Jr., even if they're outed from their potential unlocked by Babidi, Cell Jr. is still stronger than Cell, Super Perfect Cell, at his max power, and Deborah has all the assets and techniques that he still has, being the king of the demon realm. So with them backing Vegeta, they look to fight Super Buu, while Shin has a plan with Goku and Gohan, mainly Gohan. So Vegeta tells them, "Attack!" And Super Buu says, And then he uses a human extinction attack, and it floods not only the entire area which they're in, but the entire Earth. It kills off every single human, just like canon, and a very few specific casualties. Hercule and Buu never met, so Hercule actually dies here. Videl is next, then Krillin, then Piccolo, then Goten, then Trunks, and then Tien. Now you might be wondering, oh, Tien was able to stop it last time in canon. Yes, but this time it's way more unexpected and definitely would not give him enough time to actually dodge it. So, yeah, Tien dies here. Super Buu just smirks smugly and says, now you have even less help on your back. And he just looks at all three of them who managed to survive and says, none of you are a challenge to me anymore. Vegeta uses a final impact to try to prove otherwise, but Super Buu just rushes in, deflects it, which gives Deborah the perfect opportunity, summons a blade, and slashes Super Buu in half. And then Cell Jr. uses a special beam cannon, and this almost completely evaporates Buu, who is left there all guppled and injured and stuff, but then he regenerates and just rushes towards them maniacally and very creepily. We all know how Buu's design is. Then we see Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta versus Super Buu, which is something we have never seen before. So also, forgive the eyes. It's AI. What can you do? Spoiler alert, that's AI. And they get to fighting, and it seems Vegeta's actually holding his own. But again, it's inexperienced Super Saiyan 3. He's lucky to be even holding on to it right now. Vegeta tries big bang attacks, punches, and kicks, but Buu matches him blow for blow, not showing he's utterly outmatched, but it is a challenge. Then Deborah and Cell Jr. help out in every angle they can to make sure that Vegeta does not lose their biggest advantage right now against Buu. Meanwhile, Gohan continues the training with the Z-Sword, but then Goku stupidly, along with Shin, offers the Kachin and multiple other things. The Z-Sword breaks, and Elder Kai is freed, leading to the ritual for Gohan's unlocked potential. And then Goku and Shin, without Kibito there, are just like, can they even ensure that this guy actually knows what he's talking about and that he's a Kai? But they're just going to have to wait and see. They hope that Vegeta and everybody else can hold their own. And eventually they realize that Vegeta, Dabura, and Cell Jr. are the only ones left. And they really want this Kai to hurry. But Goku can't go, and Shin is no match, so they have to wait. It's basically like the Canon Buu saga, if you really think about it. Super Buu begins to get a little angry and powers up. But Vegeta says, I hope you two still have plenty of energy, because it's obvious he's not letting up. But neither are we, and neither am I. Cell Jr. just grits angrily and knows he has come here for one purpose and one purpose only. He got himself into this situation to get revenge on Gohan. And he will not lose to this Majin who's going to take that away from him. Dabura flares up his energy and says he's the king of the demon realm. He will not be outshined by this pink monstrosity. And Buu dares them to come at him. Dabura multiply spits to try to get Buu, but just like the ghost kamikazes and just like his fat pink self, he just dodges the spits effortlessly. And then the Cell Jr. does what not even Cell or Cell Jr. ever did, unless it was a mod or in a video game. Cell Jr. uses a Spirit Ball, but then Buu actually directs it and plunges it downward. Vegeta uses this opportunity for a full power Super Saiyan 3 Gallic gun. And this actually catches Buu off guard and injures him to the point where it actually gets him angry. So angry, he begins to flare his energy maliciously and maniacally smirks and prepares to blow himself up, seemingly. Vegeta, knowing this, knows that the three of them cannot survive this attack with the condition that they're in. He might be able to. They can't. So he tells them, get out of the way now. And Buu blows himself up. And Vegeta says, get out of here now! And the three of them back away as far as they can from the explosion. And after that, he's wondering, did he really just blow himself up? No. It cannot be that easy. Even if he wants a victory like this, Vegeta knows more than anyone, this victory cannot be that easy. And he's proven right whenever a huge bubble of pink goo bubbles over the entire group, but then shifts to one, Dabura. And then it circulates into one being. And with this transformation, Buu returns with Dabura absorbed. The Cell Jr. is utterly thrown aback by this, as well as Vegeta, more the Cell Jr. than anybody. But then, the Cell Jr. has a plan, something his father did with 17 and 18, and only did to suck the life out of people just barely, but more with 17 and 18. He has a plan, just like he did with his own batch of Cell Juniors. He's going to try to absorb Buu and contain his power for himself. So he gets his tail out for the first time in any Cell Junior's history, and he extends it to absorb Buu. And surprisingly, it works. The Cell Jr. has absorbed Buu with Dabura, and seemingly it's worked, and his consciousness completely overrides Buu's, with only parts of his appearance showing Majin Buu. Little bit of Dabura, but this only lasts for not even a minute, because then everything just flashes red. Boo's Cell Jr.'s body begin to contort and collide, and then it just completely shrouds in pink. And after a few moments, a new being takes shape. Boo has completely taken over. The mind of Evil Boo, Kid Boo, Majin Buu, and Dabura completely outshine Cell Jr.'s control, because we've seen in GT, Cell couldn't absorb GT Goku because he was too strong. So, this control and lack of control from both Boo and all of his sides, and the lack of control from Cell Jr.'s side, has ensured Boo has taken back control, and now the Cell Jr. is a part of him, not the other way around. So, we see a new Boo has taken shape. Boo with Dabura and Cell Jr. absorbed. So with this, his eyes are no longer flaring red and flare into pupils themselves, and he gets ready to face Vegeta and maniacally laughs and taunts Vegeta, saying that they were your best option, and all alone with that inexperienced form, you stand no chance against the mightiest Majin and the strongest warrior to ever exist. And Vegeta says, the Prince of Saiyans has never backed down from a fight, and I won't start now. And he doesn't show signs of losing Super Saiyan 3, not yet. But will he? Even if he doesn't lose it, can he even stand a chance against this Boo, especially by himself, till Gohan arrives, and then Goku, once his life is restored by old Kai? Or is this the end for not only the Earth, but the entire galaxy and universe, since the Cell Jr. and Dabura have been absorbed, making the Cell Jr.'s survival story all the more chaotic?
Now get out!
What?
Get out! Everybody get out! Welcome!
Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick, and Part 8 to What If a Cell Jr. Survived. Before we get into it, be sure to check out the Omniverse's homepage, where our channel mascot Omni will direct you to the Discord, both Google Docs, and everything else the Omniverse has to offer, along with smashing the like button, subscribing to the Omniverse of Nick, sharing the Omniverse around, and turning on all Omniversal notifications, and commenting future requests and expectations in the comments section. With all that said, let's begin. We open up where we ended off last time, with Vegeta still in Super Saiyan 3 seemingly, ready to fight Super Buu, who has absorbed Cell Jr. and Dabura. But then he drops out of Super Saiyan 3 without realizing it. And this is when Buu goes into strike. Vegeta rapid fires at him multiple times and goes in for his Hell Zone grenade trick to use against Buuhan. But Buu just circulates out of him, out of the blasts, and then tries to entangle him with his body. But Vegeta just roars with power and gets him off, and then powers every single drop of ki that he has, and goes back into 3 just for a split second for the biggest final flash that would be seen at this point. And Buu is actually injured by this, but Vegeta knows that he's basically almost all out of power and that it wasn't enough. Buu then fires a special beam cannon, which Vegeta manages to propel and deflect with all his energy, and then he uses an explosive wave to eradicate it completely and tries another Hell Zone grenade tactic. And then, right as the blast begin to entrap Buu this time, he goes in for an attack. But then Buu uses an explosive wave, smiles devilishly, and then prepares to teleport out of the way of Vegeta's incoming attack. But Vegeta actually lands the punch. But then Buu uses a Mystic Ball attack and just mercilessly beats down Vegeta until he's reverted back to base and then crouches on the ground, completely out of energy. That final flash and that one punch was the best that he was getting out of this new Boo. He's just too freaking much. If this was normal Super Boo, he could have lasted a lot longer, but he would have never expected him to pull a stunt like absorption. And now Boo says, you should have never entrusted the three of you to actually beat me. Now you'll see that very power used to kill you, Prince. And then he powers a Kamehameha. But just then, saviors arrive. Goku teleports in and uses a Destructo Disc, showing old Kai actually, sacrificed his life. And then a knee straight to the face. Because Goku, who powers to 3, and Gohan, who's in Mystic, are back and ready to save Vegeta and defeat Majin Buu. Vegeta is just angry at what took you two so long. And then he has to come to terms with the fact that Kakarot's not only alive, but the brat Gohan, he's even stronger than freaking Super Saiyan 3 before. But none of them have time to process this new saving grace, because then Goo entraps Vegeta, and Vegeta is absorbed. So now we have Boo with Vegeta, Cell Jr., and Dabura absorbed. So think about how crazy that is. Goku tries out with all his might with 3, but he's just absolutely no match. Even Mr. Gohan, who puts up even more of a fight than any of them put together, Boo just matches him at every turn, even more so than Boo tanks. And eventually Gohan's on the ground too. So this new saving grace turns to be a very bad idea. But then Goku pulls out an earring and says it's time for their trump card. And Gohan actually catches the earring. And we get Gokhan versus Boo with Cell Jr., Vegeta, and Dabura absorbed. And Gokhan matches him at every turn. With this definitely much more potent Gohan, and Goku, even if he's not stronger than in canon, Gokhan just in general would be far more potent than any version of Vegito could ever be. So it's almost no freaking contest. And eventually he lets himself get absorbed. Dabura is free, Cell Jr. is free, and then Vegeta is free. But then they see the pod containing Fat Boo and know how he was actually the good one and he tried to help them. So they tear Fat Boo out, and then Boo begins his transformation into Kid Boo, starting with buff, but with everybody out and Gokhan still fused, and far more serious, potent, and stronger than Vegito. He uses a Masenko Kamehameha and completely eradicates Boo from existence before he even gets a chance to transform into Kid Boo. After this, Elder Kai and Kibito Kai go to planet Namek, and Porunga is summoned, and the wish is to restore everyone who was killed by Babidi and all the men, and for Boo to be forgotten about, which I'll explain more in a minute, since it's way different here. Dabura says, now that our proposed alliance is complete, I should destroy you all, but I won't. He says he's going to go off on his own. He is by no means a good guy, but he does thank them for saving his life. As such, he hopes that they thank him for saving theirs. And he'll be off on his own now. Don't worry about him. But also, don't think he's necessarily a good guy either, just because Babidi and Boo are dead. He's still the Demon King. Cell Jr. watches Dabura fly away, and he thinks about this for a long second, and then he says he should be thankful too, and grins at Gohan and everybody else, but he thinks he's going to go off on his own now too. He really doesn't have a place with them, just being a lone Cell Jr. Now that he's back to being a regular teen Cell Jr., and his lust for revenge against Gohan's gone, honestly, you should just go with Dabura. But Gohan then thinks about this for a second and tells Cell Jr. to stop. And says to the Cell Jr., I'm going too. If you're going, I'm going. You've made me something different, Cell Jr. You've ultimately turned this into what my dad and Vegeta have. True partnership and rivalry. I think you can agree, can't you? Why don't we stick together? No need to think about revenge anymore, right? So, why don't we turn this into what it is? A true rivalship and a test for both of us to grow stronger. And Cell Jr., he likes the idea, but as a regular teen, he'll never catch up to the level of Gohan now that he's in this new mystic form. He's even not strong enough to be in Super Saiyan 3 tier anymore. He's just back to being a teen Cell Jr., crazed for revenge. Gohan says he thinks he has an answer for that. And they use the Dragon Balls to turn Cell Jr. back into an adult without the Majin power. So adult super perfect Cell Jr. is back. After that, Gohan and Cell Jr. go on their own path, turning this ultimate hatred ship of what was Gohan and Cell, killing all the Cell Juniors, 2 batches of a new breed of Cell Juniors, into an OG Cell Jr. and Gohan having a true rival and partnership. As for Majin Buu, Vegeta doesn't want him anywhere near anybody. And he says, is this how we're doing this now, Kakarot? We're just letting Cell Jr. and Dabura and Majin Buu just roam freely? What if Buu sprouts another evil, maniacal form of himself? What if the Cell Jr. decides that he wants to sprout a bunch of Cell Jr. clones and he goes on the same warpath that Cell was willing to? What if Dabura teams up with all of them and becomes beyond what a normal Demon King should? You really want all those situations to arise into something that's much worse than we've ever encountered? Why not kill them all while we have the chance? And Goku says, Vegeta, are you serious right now? You used to be a bad guy too. Piccolo used to be a bad guy too. Tien and Krillin and Yamcha all used to be bad guys. They can change too, Vegeta. Didn't you? What were you doing on Earth while we were up at the Kai world? You were defending this home for your wife, Bulma, for your children. You can't tell me that doesn't mean something. You teamed with Cell Jr. and Dabura. You can't tell me that was out of self-interest or because you wanted to not be able to kill them or something. You know as well as I do people can change. And Vegeta, he hates to admit it, but many a times, 9 times out of 10, Kakarot's right. And Vegeta says, do we just let them live? How can you be so certain they won't turn back, even if you erase the memories of Buu? Even if Dabura's not fully bad, and even if the Cell Jr. pairs with your son for the rest of eternity? What makes you think there won't be an after effect of this? And Goku says if there was going to be an after effect of Vegeta, Piccolo, or any of their old, villains type, enemies type thing, it would have happened already. I think that they can live with what's going on right now with everybody else. And if it becomes a problem, he knows that they can stop it. And with that, the Buu saga ends. And we get into Daima territory. What will happen since Dabura's alive, Cell Jr.'s alive, Gohan's more iconic, and there's a much different circumstance and setting going into Daima? And what will happen with Super, and going into more of the future of Cell Jr.'s survival.
Now get out!
What?
Get out! Everybody get out! Welcome!
Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick and part 9 to What If a Cell Jr. Survived. Before we get into it, be sure to check out the Omniverse's homepage, where our channel mascot Omni will direct you to the Discord, both Google Docs, and everything else the Omniverse has to offer, along with smashing the like button, subscribing to the Omniverse of Nick, sharing the Omniverse around and turning on all Omniversal notifications, and commenting future requests and expectations in the comments section. With all that said, let's begin. Today we get into Daima. Goma and Degasu are looking into the past of everything that just happened, with a lot changing from the original. So Goma and Degasu decide, especially since Dabura is good now, and so is Majin Buu, he's decided that they're not going to turn everybody into children. Instead, they're going to wish for the third eye for Goma, and he will personally kill Dabura and then everybody else. So they go ahead and wish on the Dragon Balls, just like normal. Goma gets the third eye, and he now says, let's go pay our little old Demon King Dabura a visit. And Degasu says, I know where he is, Supreme Demon King Goma. And Goma says, excellent. And once Goma and Degasu get to where Dabura is, he is just utterly shocked and dumbfounded that the demon realm has come back to him after all these years. And Goma berates him for how he ruins the legacy of who he is and who his father was and everything so on. And now, standing proud with the third eye, he says he's going to do what Dabura could never do. Succeed where he has failed and be the true Demon King. Dabura says, it seems like you thought of almost everything. And then he smirks devilishly and says, but you were wrong to wish for the third eye and confront me. You should have went after the rest of those fools. They wouldn't have known what I know. And that's the weakness of your little eye. You see, my father was a demon third eye king holder at one point. And it was also in my possession. I would have had that little trinket, and Bobbity and Boo would have been nuisances before my power if I had actually kept it. And then he gets into a fighting stance and says, you should have just killed me before spouting off all of this gobble. Now, you won't even get a chance. Then Degasu just force pushes him to the ground, but then Dabura just flames all over Degasu, just kills him. Then he tries it on Goma, along with evil blasts and forceful gravity key waves, spitting, sword, and more sword slashes. But his sword and every single one of his onslaughts are met by Goma just regenerating and ultimately just being too much for him. You know, the third eye is just that freaking iconic. And Goma says, this was your strategy? I thought you knew the weakness. You know, your father being a holder and you having the trinkets. I figured you would have known this little onslaught of yours would pale before a true Demon King. Dabura smiles and says, you're right. That was more or less to not only get your little fools out of the way, but to test how good you were at wielding its power. And now that I know that, you can say goodbye to that eye. And Goma says, what can you do that you haven't already? If you knew this eye's weakness, you would have done so already. You should have just kept true to the Demon King lineage. Now, every speck of what once was your lineage will die along with you. He goes in for a punch, but Dabura uses an afterimage evil blast teleportation and uses an evil blast right at Goma's back, uses a cape swing, whirlwinds his cape, and then another cape swing. 3 blows. And with these 3 blows, the eye is pushed out of Goma, with him unconscious on the ground. Gohan and the Cell Jr., along with everybody else, arrive on the scene, sensing all of this go down, and obviously seeing the sky go dark. Goku sees that Dabura not only just beat this guy and this bunch of people with this eye or whatever, he actually fought alongside them and, didn't, attack anyone before this or team up with these people. And then, very unexpected people come into play. Orinzu, Ku, and Du. Yes, they are still a thing in this timeline. They arrive on the scene from the demon realm, and Orinzu sees Dabura is still alive, and he is holding the third eye, which was once held by Goma. Goku wonders about everything that is going on here. Dabura explains everything, and that he has defeated the supposed Demon King Goma, and he assumes that Orinzu was going to take over in Goma's place or something, right? Well, now, no such option will happen. And he plops the third eye onto himself. So now, he is where he is supposed to be. The supreme demon king of the demon realm. Dabura the Demon King has returned. With the third eye in tow, he will return to the demon realm. He could kill them all right now with this eye. However, he has finally found a purpose for himself. So, he has no need to stay on Earth aimlessly anymore. But, remember this, he's still not a good guy. So don't come crawling to him for help unless it absolutely matters. If it doesn't, he's not helping them just because they once joined forces. Now he has a responsibility as the true Supreme Demon King. Gohan says, okay, but know this, if you start anything, we will be here to stop you. The Cell Jr. looks on to see that Dabura's found his purpose, and now this has given him drive to find his. And he says to Gohan, why don't we continue our journey along the path of being rivals, as you might once have said? It seems our friend Dabura's found himself a purpose. Let's continue with gaining ours. So Gohan and Cell Jr.'s journey continues, as Dabura goes to the demon realm with the third eye and a newfound motive for living himself, and a much different Dabura, which we will see down the line. Don't worry, this is not the last you've seen of Dabura. So, we get into Dragon Ball Super territory. When will we see Dabura return? And how will Gohan and Cell Jr.'s and everybody else's journeys line with what is going to be the final 2 parts of this tale and the closings for Cell Jr.'s survival?
Now get out! What? Get out! Everybody get out! Welcome!
Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick and part 10, aka the third to last part of What If a Cell Jr. Survived. Before we get into it, be sure to go to the Omniverse's homepage, where our channel mascot Omni will direct you to the Discord, both Google Docs, and everything else the Omniverse has to offer, along with smashing the like button, subscribing to the Omniverse of Nick, sharing the Omniverse around and turning on all Omniversal notifications, and commenting future requests and expectations in the comments section. With all that said, let's begin. We open up where we ended off last time, with Universe 7 in its entirety being introduced and laid out for Dragon Ball Super after the events of Daima, with Dabura going to the Demon Realm with a purpose, and Gohan and Cell Jr. on their path now, and everyone lining up for what is going to be a very dramatic turn of events for Dragon Ball Super. Beerus and Whis come in search of the Super Saiyan God, and the very much opening part of the film takes place the same exact way. Goku still fights Beerus, but he gets whomped. And as for Vegeta and everybody else at the party and everything, that goes pretty much exactly the same as per canon. And the only thing that's different is that Beerus and Cell Jr. have an interaction, and Beerus finds it intriguing that the spawn of an android with Saiyan DNA and the journey that this one's been on? Who knows? Even if he doesn't know about the Super Saiyan God, and he has Saiyan DNA, maybe he could be Beerus's rival. Then, Beerus and Boo get into a fight about the pudding, and all hell breaks loose. Even a stronger Gohan, Boo, and everybody else is no match for even a very suppressed Beerus. Vegeta gets angry after Beerus slaps Bulma, but that onslaught is quickly halted after Vegeta's uplifting movement seems to at least have shaken the God of Destruction, but we all know it didn't work out for long. Then, Beerus and the Cell Jr. square off, and it actually turns out more of a fight than angry Vegeta. But Cell Jr. is completely and utterly dumbfounded that not only was Gohan taken care of in a single kick, but he can not even keep up with the level of just overwhelming force and complexity that Beerus offers. He has an answer for nothing that Beerus throws at him. Even after a little bit of the fight seems to go his way, in the end, he was thrown aside. Then Goku arrives, and Shenron's summoned to let them know about the Super Saiyan God, and that 5 Saiyans possessing righteous hearts must formulate their ki into one. Now, originally, this would be the scene where it would go just like canon. You have all the Saiyans, including Videl with, Pan inside her. But we're replacing Cell Jr. with Videl, since Cell Jr. has a righteous heart and he has Cell Saiyan DNA. So, with that in mind, even if it's just Saiyan DNA and he's not a pure Saiyan, he's mainly just the spawn of an android. He's an android. He has Saiyan DNA, and we've never seen, obviously, Cell in a formulated Super Saiyan God circle. So, you've got to assume that it would still most likely work. And for creative purposes, let's just say the Cell Jr. goes in the circle. Either way, it doesn't matter. Goku still becomes the Super Saiyan God and fights Beerus, but Beerus decides to spare everybody. And Gohan and Videl gets to keep the secret about Pan until the moment before she is born. As for Cell Jr., Beerus has given him a new edge. Cell Jr. decides to give himself a new form. So, he trains more ruthlessly and more powerfully than he has ever done. And through all this, he becomes a Super Cell Jr. with much more vast and tough outside layers of his skin, looking more metallic, and a much more amazing aura, and vast arrays of techniques and demonstrations of powers are going to be shown with this look. Gohan gets to train with the Cell Jr., obviously, and they go to Beerus's world, which is obviously where the Cell Jr. gets this. If he was going to get a new form just by himself, he would have done that already. But through Gohan and Cell Jr. training on Beerus's world, not only does this give the Cell Jr. his form, but with Gohan, he achieves Mystic Super Saiyan God. Goku and Vegeta get their forms per canon because not really too much stronger from canon, basically, except Vegeta had more of a head start on 3 than he did in canon, but that's like it. Doesn't really account for anything. Then we get to Resurrection F, and Frieza gets resurrected and his army comes to Earth and begins to play out the same way as canon, except for the fact that Roshi, Krillin, Piccolo, and Tien don't have Gohan there because he's on Beerus's world. But 17 and 18 are there in place to make up for their loss against Boo, their foolish actions, and just overall much better look at 17 and 18. And 17 definitely knows that his island can wait because of how misdemeaning he was, and as well as his sister towards the Cell Jr., and the fact that he went away from an island once because of 18 and the whole Cell Jr. incident, coming back to team with him full time and make up for what he and 18 did. He has plenty of room to take a step away from the island. Tagoma then steps into play and begins to give the fighters a hard time. But then Gotenks comes out of nowhere, does his thing, but then that gives Ginyu a chance to swap bodies with Tagoma. And then he begins to give the fighters a run for their money. But with 17 there, it's a whole different story. His barrier, his moves, his array of skill set, he just throws one ultimate barrier punch. 18 takes leverage, as well as everybody else. Ginyu's done. Didn't even need Vegeta this time. Goku and Vegeta, and as well as everybody else, then make their way to the battlefield. They then get to Goku fighting, which gets broken up by Vegeta and then Frieza. Then they go about their Super Saiyan Blue forms, and everything pretty much goes per canon up until the point where Vegeta has Frieza on the ground. And just before he's about to blast him away to nothingness, he feels the ground crumble because Frieza is about to destroy the planet. But this time doesn't need to be reversed. Gohan and Cell Jr. knew instantly Frieza was going to pull a stunt like this. So instead of Goku doing something or Vegeta realizing too little too late, Gohan and Cell Jr. team up for a tag team Kamehameha wave and incinerate Frieza. Goku, after this, achieves Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 10. A little bit easier, but not over the top much easier. Like I said, him and Vegeta aren't really that far off from canon. It's Gohan and Cell Jr. and everybody else that have really excelled in this story. Mainly those two. Gohan achieves Mystic Super Saiyan Blue, and Cell Jr. perfects his Super Cell Jr. state. Then Champa and Vados arrive, and the whole idea for the Universe 6 versus 7 tournament comes into fortitude. And who's going to fight in it, you might ask? Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Cell Jr., and Piccolo. There's going to be no Monica because you really think there's a need for Monica in this story. Really hasn't been yet. Really hasn't been a need now, so why would there be? So we get to the Nameless Planet. Goku beats Butamo the same way, but then Frost catches him off guard with a poison needle. Piccolo gets caught off guard by the needle too after putting up a valiant effort. Vegeta knocks Frost out in one punch. Then he demonstrates showing Super Saiyan 2 Kaba, and then one punches him with blue. Then he fights Vegeta, gets out of the whole, trying to cage him in with flames and exposed air, insults him, knocks him out of the ring, and then he fights against Hit, but even before realizing Hit's move, or attempting to figure out his powers, he gets knocked out. Goku and Hit have the same exact fight that they did in canon, leading to an almost even encounter, but then Beerus and Champa start arguing, and Goku just bows out because he knows Hit's holding back. Then the Cell Jr. steps into play, saying that, I didn't think I would get a chance to demonstrate my power, especially against an assassin from Universe 6. Hit knows right away that this Cell Jr. has to be the strongest guy besides Goku and that boy Gohan on the team. So, even though he's injured from his fight with Goku, Hit's still going to put all he's got into defending himself. Cell Jr. throws a special beam cannon. Hit time skips through it. But then, Cell Jr. shows his training and his Super Cell Jr. training, he can perceive Hit's time skip. And especially since he's injured, it's much more caught off guard. And just the Cell Jr. is that much more on point than Goku is with the time skip. So it's almost nothing to him. It's catching him a little bit off guard because he didn't deal with it yet. But once he starts to get the hang of it after that special beam cannon misses, he throws death beams like crazy in every single direction. And Hit cannot stop this. And then Cell Jr. throws a Neo Tri-Beam, incinerates the ring, and overall just knocks Hit out. Then Goku meets Zeno, and that whole encounter plays out. And the end of the Universe 6 vs. 7 tournament. It's concluded. We're not getting copy Vegeta, obviously. And as for the Goku Black Saga and Zamasu, you might ask, since there's room to do it in this story, because I've done it with Gohan Black before, and at least covered it, in small portions, but never went about it, big-wise, besides Gohan Black and everything, and Gohan Black Beast. Is it going to be touched upon here? Well, no. Because you have the group, obviously, but you also have a much stronger Gohan who's actually active for the Goku Black arc, and you have Cell Jr. We're still getting Goku Black and Zamasu, and it's obviously still happening because Trunks time traveled and all the other things happened, more or less. But Goku Black's no freaking match for our group in this timeline. Zamasu would get sealed, and present Zamasu would get Hakkai'd. So overall, it's not that much a big deal to be talking about the Goku Black timeline in this story. As for future Zeno, he stays in the future timeline, while Zeno remains in his timeline, starting to get bored, especially without a teammate or, a friend. Trunks and Mai are much happier, considering they actually have way more they actually have people to protect in their timeline, and their timeline's not erased. So, Trunks, knowing this and still thinking about the past with the Cell Juniors, debates on whether or not he should thank Cell Jr. or just attack him. But he decides to thank him, seeing that everybody possesses an opportunity for change. And the Cell Jr. can do it. He has hope that his future, no matter how bleak it's ever gotten, will always find a way to pull through. And the Cell Jr. says, "Couldn't have said it better myself, Trunks. You're probably glad that I didn't die in that field with my father." And it would be an awkward conversation, silly conversation, but overall, it would get the point across that Cell Jr. and Trunks understand each other. Now, the Grand Priest prepares by Zeno's orders to get the Tournament of Power in place. What will our team look like in this timeline? Will it almost look the same? Will it be far different because of the implications? Or will our group even get in a situation where they win the tournament at all if all they got is Gohan and Cell Jr. as their main strong suits? Could this give other universes an advantage? Or is the Cell Jr. survival tale going to end a much different way in the final two parts of this story?
Now get out! What? Get out! Everybody get out! Welcome!
Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick, and the penultimate part to What If Cell Jr. Survived. Before we get into it, be sure to check out the Omniverse's homepage, where our channel mascot Omni will direct you to the Discord, both Google Docs, and everything else the Omniverse has to offer, along with smashing the like button, subscribing to the Omniverse of Nick, sharing the Omniverse around and turning on all Omniversal notifications, and commenting future requests and expectations in the comments section. With all that said, let's begin. We open up where we ended off last time, with the Great Priest getting word from Zeno to announce the Tournament of Power. So he goes across each universe, and it's set in motion. But who is going to take part in Universe 7? Well, Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Cell Jr., Piccolo, and then you would think, 17 and 18, along with Krillin, Roshi, and Tien, would fill our roster, right? But the whole idea of the universe being at stake builds the trauma of the Cell Jr. back into 17 and 18. And then 17 says he's been away from the island for too long. 18's all about the Zenny and all that. It's multitudes more reasons than in canon to not, have them in the tournament. So they're out. As for Krillin, Master Roshi, and Tien, Krillin's on the side of 18, and more or less for his own frickin', reasons, just wants to stay out of it. Roshi feels like he'd just be a weakness and would just get in the way, even with his skill set. Tien almost feels the same way, and more or less I don't think there'd be any other reasons besides that for him. So yeah, our team here is looking pretty freaking bleak, because we're missing 5 members. So how is that going to be fixed exactly because of 5 members? And who are they going to be, because who else really is there? Because you've put in other members that weren't originally put in there before, and parts of the story and everything. So how's it going to work this time? Well, Dabura, Supreme King, Demon King Dabura with the third eye, Frieza, who is still going to be in the tournament, and Cell. Now, wait, I bet you guys are probably like, okay, that solves 3 members, but you're still missing 2, and why the 3 of them? Why Cell? Why Frieza, even if he was in the canon Tournament of Power, which he can be here too, and why Cell and Dabura? I mean, Dabura makes sense, but why Cell? Just why those guys? Well, it's the Cell Jr.'s idea to bring back his father. Now, everybody thinks Cell Jr.'s finally going to revolt against them, but Cell Jr. says he figured that they would feel this way, and he proceeds to start explaining. Now, he could already tell from the DNA that he has from Goku that Goku would have probably recommended a similar idea to this already. So he took the opportunity to do it himself. Plus, he feels his father will be a massive help for them if he can get to train with his father before the tournament's date. As for Frieza, he knows he's way more than strong enough to be a potent ally, no matter how evil he is. Although he's far more evil than his father, who he can tame. But Frieza, they'll have to put him in check a lot more carefully. As for Dabura, he's set in stone for being an ally, and he already has teamed up with them before against Goma and against Majin Buu. So he has no doubt he'll be able to team and very much so defend himself with that third eye of his, and he's probably definitely gotten stronger. So this fills up 3 members and puts them in a much less precarious situation. Then they just got to figure out the last 2, train up his father, and figure out the deal with Dabura and Frieza. And they're all set. So Frieza and Cell are brought by Baba and instantly counteract with each other. But Cell forgets about Frieza for a second, and he knows why he's here. And he stares over at an adult Cell Jr.? One of his sons survived, and he gets to talking with his son. And the two of them discuss everything that has happened since Cell's death, how the Cell Jr. managed to survive. Then the Cell Jr. realizes that his father has gotten stronger than he was the last time that he saw him. And Cell realizes the Cell Jr.'s a good guy now, but not all of him is truly mad about it, because, Cell wasn't exactly, heartless like Frieza. He was a pretty much neutral villain, but he wasn't, a psychotic villain like Frieza. So, he'd be neutral about this. And then him and Frieza start talking, and then actually think about a team-up now that they're back in the world of the living. But Vegeta reminds them that they both still have halos, and they could be sent back to Otherworld with the flick of a switch. And he's getting very angry and just wants to just completely vaporize them. Goku says, "You two were brought here for a purpose. You were brought to help us in the tournament. It was the Cell Jr.'s idea to bring you back. And," he says, "not only will you two be valuable allies, especially with the Cell Jr.'s training, Cell, but we have an idea for a potential third member that wasn't Dabura. And you two might be just the thing that could help us get him in check." And they talk about Majin Buu, who is sleeping, the ninth guy. Frieza and Cell look. Frieza's like, "This before me is the creature Father told me to stay away from." And Cell's like, "This is that pink creature I've heard stories about." And the two of them just blast away at Buu, who regenerates and starts getting angry, awoken from his slumber. But once he hears about why this was and everything, he is more than happy to train to help. So we do get Slim Buu in the Tournament of Power. But Beerus is still angry because, by the way, Dabura comes to them off screen. So, yeah. And Beerus is still angry because they're still missing a member. And he tells them, "We wouldn't have any issue finding another guy if your foolish, idiotic, pathetic friends didn't bow out due to their sentimental and worthless human emotion, and if you Nimrods hadn't wiped out the Frieza Force." And then that gives Goku and Beerus an idea. They tell Frieza to go back to his army, only to go and find new recruits, because they know there has to be some strong warrior of Frieza's they don't know of yet. So Frieza, unfortunately, has to oblige by the rules so that he can come back to life in agreement with Goku to restore him and Cell. And with his mass army still around and searching, they come across Planet Vampa and Paragus and Broly. Frieza brings them aboard and sends them to where everybody else is. Once Paragus sees Vegeta, he instantly is about to tell Broly to attack, but Frieza prepares to launch a death beam if Paragus doesn't let Broly in this tournament, since he knows Broly is way more potent of a candidate for the tournament than himself. And if he doesn't oblige, he'll kill him, then Broly, and then they can just forget about ever having freedom off the planet, since they'll be dead. And their universe is at stake, as well as his own well-being, points to his head also. So, he really doesn't have a choice here. So Paragus unfortunately has to oblige and realize that, number one, it's Lord Frieza, number two, it's the universe at stake, his pride with Vegeta can wait, and his son might actually be able to do good in the tournament. Maybe kill Vegeta in the process? He's keeping his emotions hidden, more or less. So Broly, through a bit of training to at least get some of his rage down, which is already potent, along with Cell and any other preparations needed, our rosters set for the tournament. And the Tournament of Power, the Void, is set in motion. Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Cell Jr., Cell, Deborah, Supreme Demon King Deborah with the third eye, Broly, Frieza, Slim Buu, and Piccolo are all set for the Tournament of Power. How will this team fare in the tournament? Will it be overkill? Will it be more of a problem? And how will the aftermath and the true ending next time on the finale to the story pan out and cap off Cell Jr.'s survival?
Now get out! What? Get out! Everybody get out! Welcome!
Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick and the finale to What If a Cell Jr. Survived. Before we get into it, be sure to check out the Omniverse's homepage, where our channel mascot Omni will direct you to the Discord, both Google Docs, and everything else the Omniverse has to offer, along with smashing the like button, subscribing to the Omniverse of Nick, sharing the Omniverse around and turning on all Omniversal notifications, and commenting future requests and expectations in the comments section. With all that said, let's begin. We open up where we ended off last time, with the team set for Universe 7 in the Tournament of Power. Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Cell Jr., Cell, Supreme Demon King Deborah with the third eye, Broly, Frieza, Slim Buu, and Piccolo. The Tournament of Power starts. Goku goes against Ganos, while Hit and Basal cripple Nari Rama. Lila Buu gets knocked out, and then Nappa and Basal have their encounter. Goku is caught by Nink and powers to blue before he's knocked out. Then's encountered by Universe 9, not for revenge, because no exhibition in this timeline, but just merely to get him out. So Vegeta and Goku team up, and they defeat Universe 9 pretty much the same exact way, with Roselle getting knocked out by Frieza pretty much the same way as well. Universe 9 is the first to be erased. Vegeta then goes against Boda Magetta, and Diem goes after the warriors still left. But he quickly finds out that the ones that actually come up with the plan, the whole stay together plan, the two that actually stuck to it are the two that Diem shouldn't have wanted to face. Gohan and Piccolo knock him out with utter ease. As for Shosa and Majora, with Deborah's third eye and his already potent, being Deborah type techniques, and just Deborah in this timeline, he washes them like they're nothing. Then him and Frost have a fight and an encounter. But again, even normal Deborah would be able to put Frost on the back foot and see through his versatile and sneaky techniques. Even though obviously the poison needles aren't accepted in the tournament, Deborah is just, he washes Frost as well. And Frieza looks over disappointed that their little, team up didn't actually come to fruition. He doesn't care anyway. He's a third-rate version of himself anyway. Kaba knocks out Nigirishi and Murtasim and goes to fight against Vegeta. And Kale gets caught by Nappa and Methiop, and Caulifla attacks Methiop and knocks out Nappa. Then has a fight with Goku, which angers Kale to going berserk into her legendary Super Saiyan state, and bringing down Goku before she goes mad and pulls out the Blaster Meteor, which knocks out Methiop and causes everyone to get on alert, including Jiren, who one-shots her. Then we get the 5 Pride Troopers, but Kale and Caulifla, that whole segment, besides 17 and 18 not being there, pretty much goes all the same. Caulifla and Kale knock them all out. Then we have a really interesting encounter. Preacho, the Universe 3 Cell, and Cell Jr. And Cell Jr. are definitely surprised because they weren't expecting to see another version of themselves. But they can clearly see he is very, 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 very much so weaker than them. Even normal Cell and Cell Jr. back in the days of the early Cell games could have squashed him like a bug, even in his imperfect state. So with just one forceful combined father-son Cell key wave, Preacho's just knocked out of the ring. And Cell says, "You should have known. We're the perfect cells around here." And then we get the whole Universe 2 transformation, Ribrianne, Kakunza, Rosie, all of them. Vegeta and Ribrianne fight, causing Ribrianne to go straight in to Universe 10 Durasum Warrior. And as for Vakel and Kakunza, Boo uses a technique he used against Goku and Kanon, the multi-bunches and bunches of ki waves, into extending his arms to knocking both of them out at the exact same time. Which, for two of them especially the two Universe 2 warriors, that's a lot of twos, this would be a very potent move to use against especially more than one person, and see it actually play out since Boo's in the tournament this time. Which I think I've done more than once before, but seeing it more in action in this story is definitely worth more pointing out. Ribrianne is furious at this and goes in for a fight. So now we get Slim Boo versus Ribrianne, and Ribrianne has to be forced into her super state just to fight off Slim Boo. And it becomes painfully obvious Ribrianne is nowhere close to a threat. And Boo just almost completely washes her, but he's enjoying himself with Ribrianne's weird techniques, thinking her alike to his own self. But Ribrianne's in here to win with the power love and all that bullcrap, so she turns into giant Ribrianne. But this doesn't stop Boo. Slim Boo, uses a full power Kamehameha. And with this, Ribrianne has no answer and she's knocked out. Goku is fighting Rosie and gets her on the back foot when Jamise comes in for the save with instant transmission. But before they can escape, Cell uses instant transmission, a much more adapted than Jamise, and uses an all clear to knock them both out. Gohan eliminates Butamo, and then him and Piccolo go against Universe 10. He figures out Albany's trick a lot easier because it's a much stronger Gohan, and Universe 10's the next one to go. Then we get Goku and Hit versus Dispo and Kenshi, and that plays out the same way. As for Kawaii and Dekori, Dabura with the third eye is able to see through their techniques even better than any normal version of Dabura, and thousands of times, millions of times better than any version of Master Roshi. So they're eliminated with quick succession. And then Ganos attacks Dabura and goes in for just outright brutality and for the kill in his monster form. But Broly goes Wrath and knocks him out with one punch. Then Dr. Roto's attacked by Hermilla and Prom, and Piccolo and Gohan try to see through it, but just because they're stronger doesn't mean that they can get through this versatile and just out of nowhere sneaky sniping attacks from Hermilla and Prom. But that's where Dabura comes in, from getting attacked by Ganos. He recovers from the rocks and uses the telekinesis to his advantage, and the third eye, and Prom and Hermilla have absolutely no answer for Dabura's even more keen sense of awareness, leveling theirs past what they could ever expect possible. Then Majikayo gets Dispo off guard and prepares to punch Jiren with his super extendable punch, but then Boo extends his arms, interfering out of nowhere, and just pushes Majikayo out of the ring. So now Majikayo's the one caught off guard, and he's eliminated and on the stands wondering, did I just lose to basically an alternate version of myself? And Boo's there celebrating his victory and his basically eliminating a great deal of people, but Jiren was still ready to attack. And this moment of Boo's was Boo's like worst mistake. Because Jiren uses the punch he used against Majikayo against Boo. And Boo is very angry that he was eliminated, and Beerus is even shocked, but he can't blame Boo, and he did eliminate quite a few people. And that Jiren is definitely no pushover. And they start realizing more and more and more about him, and that there's a mortal who's stronger than God of Destruction, yada yada. Yeah, that whole thing begins to play just a little bit. But they're not truly worried with their team. It was just Boo was caught off guard. The true battle hasn't even begun yet. Vegeta fights Vegeta alone with no Frost and eliminates him by blasting his ear, insulting him, and pushing him out of the ring. Then we get Goku versus Jiren. And Goku's around the same power with a slightly better Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, so Jiren washes him just like canon. Then Goku goes for a Spirit Bomb, but he knows that the Spirit Bomb's not going to be anywhere close to a match for Jiren like this. Not even with the energy that they all have. But then Cell has an idea that will not only wash Jiren, but everybody in the tournament. But they all have to use instant transmission to get their team on high alert, literally. And so that way they don't kill them in the process. Because this combined move of theirs, it's going to completely eviscerate the ring. And hopefully not kill everyone down there. But hopefully, if it knocks everybody out and this plan goes, they won't be eliminated. Because there will be no one worthy to basically call them to be eliminated for. And Goku's like, what do you mean? And Cell goes in to charge up a Spirit Bomb as well. And then Cell Jr. charges one right next to him. So now, 3 Spirit Bombs merge together until it sprouts the entire ring. A huge, humongously enormous universal Spirit Bomb coated in purple aura flares above the ring. And Goku knows if they throw this, they risk, like, not only eliminating and killing everybody, but possibly getting themselves caught. They have to sprout this into 3 Kamehameha waves. So at least it does eliminate everybody, but it limits the amount of casualties, gets their people on safe alert, and makes it so they won't get an aftermath from the attack. So, Cell Jr. starts with a Ka. Cell says, May. Goku goes into Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken and says, Ha? And they both say May at the same exact time. 3 enormously blue and purple aura-flared Kamehamehas. Cell Jr. fires his first. Then Cell, and then Goku. And a blue, purple, and gray aura flares as these 3 Kamehamehas make their way towards the ring. No person in the arena has an answer for this amount of an attack. Top and Dispo instantly step in. Top goes God. Dispo goes super maximum. And Jiren goes full power. Jiren flares more energy than any version of him in any story. But he realizes this was a small, fleeting effort. Because it did halt the move. And it will prevent them from dying. But everyone in the tournament is eliminated. He can't save his universe. And everybody else is gone. Universe 7 has won. And he realizes this is the power of trust. And with this, Universe 11 and literally every other universe besides 7 is eliminated. So, Universe 7 wins. This is the biggest win and pull-off for Universe 7 in any story that I've ever made. Super Shenron summoned and all the universes are brought back. And then, Whis presents a gift to Frieza and then Cell. Frieza and Cell realize they're alive? And they both say, hopefully you people know, we have no intention of changing our wicked ways. Cell Jr. says he knows Frieza has no intention, but for his father, he has something for him he knows will change his mind. And he presents him with the blue Cell Games arena he and Gohan fought in all those years ago, remade by him for training whenever him and Gohan were training. Cell unlocks a golden form and actually trains in true succession and becomes much more than any version of Cell, and starts the second Cell Games. Cell and Goku have their long-awaited rematch. Cell becomes a neutral villain alongside Frieza, and Gohan and Cell have their rematch too. Cell Jr. becomes Ultra Cell Jr., unlocking more than any Cell Jr. ever has before. And Gohan unlocks Beast, and a true battle for the ages would begin, closing off the chapter forever for Gohan, Cell Jr., and Cell's rivalry. That is until the Gammas and Cell Max make their way. But with Cell, a much stronger version, and Cell Jr. and Gohan and their rivalry, it just goes to show no other android, no other rivalry, nothing could have ever prepared the universe of Dragon Ball in its entirety for a shifting rival balance. And all of this could have happened if one Cell Jr. lived and changed not only the story and legacy of Cell and the Cell Juniors, but Gohan's forever. So, we come to the end of another Dragon Ball story. And honestly, out of the three that I had shown with this, the Henry Danger one, and the fan-made Scream 7 Joe Roberts, I honestly thought that this story was going to be a lot shorter than it was, considering the, at first, overall glimpse of the presents, right? This is Cell Jr. You wouldn't think anything major would come of it past Boo Arc, but other people have made it possible. If there's one thing about the Omniverse of Nick, nothing is set in stone for small if there's even a glimmer of huge potential. And with the Cell Jr. being the offspring of one of the freaking franchise's most biggest villains, and a rivalry that could have been set up past what Cell and Gohan had, it pretty much gave way to something way bigger than just a rivalry. A friggin' bond. And a whole setup of events that would make the Cell Jr. story one of the most, not as thought of, and honestly very surprising. When you look at it on paper compared to how it would be portrayed, it's one of those tales. It's definitely a surprising twist for those who would, just look at a Cell Jr. You would not expect anything great to come of them. But since we only got a pretty much episode or two's worth of content with them, there's a lot of potential to put something like that into a greater creator's perspective. So, that's what I did. And like the Zombie Goku one, it's all new stuff now. So, it gave me also something to look for. And the Majin arc wasn't even the start of that. True, at some points it did divot with Super, and Deborah turning good was kind of out of nowhere. But with how I marked it with the Cell Jr. and with what he affected and everything, it more or less just came down to what could truly be done and the lasting effects. There's always a lasting effect. And the Cell Jr., he would affect so much that the Tournament of Power roster, I pretty much decided I could have won it. I could have won it with, 17, 18, and then Krillin, Tien, and Roshi, the stage was already set. But then you gotta think, that would not have done justice at all. Because by Super, for a lot of my stories, you might notice that I cut a lot of parts short. And that's often down to the lack of what the characters that I put in the stories have to put in those arcs. Nothing really changes. But for the Cell Jr., it wasn't just his power, it was what he could offer. He couldn't change anything. It was a late what if into the story. Whereas people like Hercule, Nam, Giran, and, the Zombie Goku thing, it happened earlier on, so there was far more to affect. But not for Cell Jr., which is why I put in all the stops to make sure that even something as late as the end of the Cell arc could be humongous. Deborah, Cell, Frieza, Broly, Boo. I could have even put in Trunks to fill up one of the spots, like Broly or someone like that, or Piccolo. But I also didn't want to go too far that it didn't make sense. Because it did make sense for me to put those characters. Because think about it. Krillin didn't want to go in the tournament. 18 didn't want to go in the tournament. 17 didn't want to go in the tournament. And Tien and Roshi? Tien almost didn't want to go in either. And Roshi, he's a retired old man, even if he did a great job in the tournament. So there was great reason for me to replace all of those 5 characters with characters who actually fit the goal and the story of what the Cell Jr. brought in, and it worked perfectly to cycle in a fan-made half-a-tournament roster with Deborah, Cell, Frieza, Broly, and Boo. And, yeah, that's pretty much the whole deal. After that, Cell would pretty much become a full-fledged good guy. Frieza, it's debatable. I wouldn't go as far into manga detail with Black Frieza, but as a final conflict, heck yeah. I could see Cell and Cell Jr. and Gohan and everybody teaming against him. Maybe a few manga sagas, but it wouldn't really matter to much, especially since we don't know how strong Black Frieza is yet. So honestly, I'm just going to leave that to you guys. But I feel like Dragon Ball Superhero, like the Zombie Goku story, would be a perfect way to cycle in the end for Cell Jr., Gohan, and Cell. Gohan teaming up with the very rival that pushed him to the edge of his limits and beyond and turned him into a better version, and honestly should have been the saga and the rivalry and the boost and the thing that Gohan really should have gotten to become one of the franchise's most iconic and actually in this story balanced characters. Because if you saw, I didn't make him crazily overpowered like I have in many other stories, and I didn't make him future Gohan balance scale either. I cycled it in so that way it would be like future Gohan's, but measured down to the present Gohan, and truly give him something that would make him live. Make his character actually good and not up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Because with the Cell Jr. and Cell, that was it. That's all it could have taken for Gohan to become a better iconic character. And that's the story, guys. Very surprising when you look at it on paper compared to how it's done, isn't it? But that's just a small little example of what the Omniverse of Nick can bring. Hopefully you guys liked this Cell Jr. story, because as I said, I sure as crap didn't expect it to be this kind of story. But I hope you guys enjoyed it nonetheless, even if it wasn't the short story that I said it was going to be. The Jill Roberts one is going to be kind of mix-mash. It's going to be a Scream 7 fan-made, because Scream 7 as of now isn't out yet. So I'm pretty much just going to wing it. It's going to be down to half the plot of what Scream 7 is from what we know, except Jill Roberts and a bunch of other things are going to take hold of that. And then Henry Danger starts straight after. First of the Henry Danger what-ifs, replacing Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is done now. So I hope you guys enjoyed this Cell Jr. story. Stay tuned, hyped, and packed for more from the Omniverse of Nick.
Now get out! What? Get out! Everybody get out!